Viewer discretion is advised. Cops is filmed on location with the men and women of law enforcement. All suspects are innocent until proven guilty in a court of law.
Now we're into the DoodleTone stuff. This is going to take a while. All right. It's an hour and 35, and I have a lot to say. Okay. Now, in regard to the ACC stuff in particular recently, I've taken kind of a backseat to a lot of it. No, that's a lie to myself and everyone. The Ponder stuff is interesting. I'll give you that much. I still stand by in the critiques I have of Ponder. Okay. And if anything, based on circumstantial evidence, I'm really not liking where the Ponder thing's going. That's just me. I'm gonna keep a buck with all of you. I'm not going to tell you what I know, what's happening, because I barely know. But from what I have gathered, it's not looking too good. So the SCC has a major issue, and it's sweeping. It's sweeping, lying, manipulating, priorities just completely being out of control in this community to the point where important dramas were actually completely ignored in favor of stupid petty ones because all these people are fucked mentally. And DoodleTones was one of the longest standing members of this community, a respected member of the community, which to me, I do not know how the actual fuck all of you that were like in the SCC community like DoodleTones. I don't get it. I don't get it. I'll never understand it to this day. I will die never understanding how people gave Doodles a pass, okay? It's kind of pathetic. It's just pathetic. You're all pathetic people that like swept for Doodles or like Doodles or did the whole like DoodleTones isn't as bad as people make them out to be. And then randomly when Lio drops a call, everyone's like, oh, DoodleTones is a horrible person. Yeah, fuck all of you that were pro Doodles, okay? I was a D1 hater. D1 hater here. Even before I made content, I was a D1 hater. All right, D1. Y'all are on JV League. All right. So Yen put together a video recently with some people that have made statements in regard to DoodleTones, some of their ex-friends or people that they've wronged in the past. So I thought, you know what? Let's enjoy some DoodleTones content. By the way, DoodleTones, there's no way they're that skinny and emaciated. Something tells me if you got a photo of them now, they're fat, they're depressed, they're trying HRT, but it's failing, and they're just looking miserable. They don't look emaciated like this. It was too nice of Yen to make them look emaciated.
Why shouldn't I have my clubhouse in Sky?
Okay. The fucking bit in the beginning. Yen, are you kidding?
Please pay attention to the following trigger.
Yen, stop doing trigger warnings. I am trying to condition you out of the bullshit that this community makes you do. Doodles 10, Doodles 10, Doodles 10. True. Thank you for the 10. Thank you for the 10.
Warnings on screen. Susie DoodleTones, as much as they claim not to be, was a main figurehead in the slideshow commentary community, with 15 point...
Which is just like a horrible sentence. Imagine like being tied. Imagine being like a part of the slideshow commentary community and taking pride in that. Imagine taking pride in that in general. I can't imagine that. Being like, oh, I take pride in being SCC creator. Like, shut the fuck up. You're pathetic creatures. This is extortion? So true.
1K subscribers, and it gained quite a reputation.
Chat, we need to get past DoodleTones' subscriber count before they quit. It's 15.1. We need to be at 15.2, okay? Just so that Doodles feels left behind and that one of their biggest haters outperformed them. Can we do that? Can you do that, chat?
Given their involvement in dramas and situations...
Share the streams around. Share the videos around. We got to get to 15.2K so we can make Doodles consider suicide.
Which is Medica, Just a Robot, and Spoctor, along with the main thing many people dogged on them for, and that was the reveal of their diaper fetish, where
diaper fetish. I'll never stop finding that funny.
Susie would claim that Medica coined said name, Doodle Diapers, that Susie would
Thank you, nobody.
use to bash people who insulted them with said nickname, despite the fact that it had recently been proven that Susie was the person who coined the phrase on their old DeviantArt account.
This still, to me, is maybe the biggest fucking, like, holy grail fuck you moment to DoodleTones. Oh, God. I remember it's like, Chris, you're being so mean to DoodleTones. Chris, why are you making fun of their diaper fetish? Chris, they were groomed into it. People calling them doodle diapers was so mean. Why are you doing that? It's like, bro, It was obvious. I didn't even need this piece of information to be totally correct on Doodles. Fuck Lio for telling me he needed evidence. I was totally right. I was totally right. Thank you for the 18 months. Sub to Chris to Stewart. Doodles more. So true. C Vance with the 2 months. 1 sub equals 1 wood chipper for Doodles. True.
But despite all that, she was seen as a reputable person in the community until the
Serious question. Serious question. Like, unironically, what is with all of the law cows that, like, either cover for pedos or are pedos? What is with this trend of them all, like, enjoying diapers? Like, Nova, Andrew, you got DoodleTones, you got Pampered Chew. Like, what is with all of these cows, like, being into diapers? Okay, I keep forgetting. Thank you, Getza. Thank you, Getza, for the 5. I keep forgetting to turn that off.
Good, that still works.
FCK logs were published,
Dude, Getza's just gonna keep abusing that after Core showed everybody.
tying them back to that situation, where they took their leave around this time last year, where victims of the FCK
Have I not turned it off? Because I forget when I turn off the computer.
had asked them to take a hiatus from the internet.
Okay, I still stand by the take that I had where Doodles was a pussy for doing this. Like, oh, I have to leave the platform because all these people are mad at me. It's like, Doodles, you pussy. Just fucking own it. Like, you don't need to tell people to leave. You should have just left on your own accord.
Some of you who are a regular on the channel
To be real, like, the more I think about it, I think the reason Doodles took that call and said that they would leave on behalf of the FCK victims was mostly, and I genuinely believe this, so that they could come back and try and make themselves look like a victim later on down the line. Does anyone, like, disagree with that? That's like my tinfoil Tommy moment right here, where it's like, I weirdly believe that. I weirdly believe the idea. The only reason that they did that call is that they can try and position themselves to be a victim of a witch hunt a year later. I could see that. Okay, you all, I thought it was a tinfoil hat moment for me.
may remember it from when I covered the Ruby lighter fluid situation, and how I mentioned multiple people were in that server, including DoodleTones, who sat idly on this. More information about that situation will be listed down below. Now you may be asking yourself, where did their channel go, given how much was archived on it, and they had only been asked to take—
Where did it go? Guys, you don't understand. DoodleTones' channel was taken by sheer extortion. By sheer unadulterated extortion. DoodleTones left the internet because they got extorted by Chu Lee. Thank you, Hivecap, for the thank you, Hivecap, for the $4.99. Thought your notifications for super chats was extortion, Chris. I had to remove them. I got so many people mad at that, and to be honest, it got old fast.
take a hiatus and not vanish forever. Well, I would like to direct you to a video Susie uploaded in 2021 about a person called George Raccoon. Another member—
Yes!
Donation from Karma Sabech.
More George content. I love George. I love George. George is my favorite pedophile, lolcow. Just because he's a piece of shit. Thank you, Karma, for the $5. I hope you and Soul are doing well. of the
SCC, who had been around Doodle and the space to the earliest recollection of 2016, as seen in this Skype chat.
You know what's crazy? My brain's like, I should start setting goals, but I know if I do, I go against everything I was criticizing Beckett for. So I don't do goals here, just enjoy the content. My brain was like, do I want to start being greedy? And then I thought about it, and I was like, no, I don't.
Chat. George Raccoon had been accused of grooming a minor called Leo in the form of a document that had been posted in 2019, explaining how George would expose them to their kink and normalize it to them. The kink—
I was thinking about it, and I was like, you know what? I don't want to be a greedy shit.
being a certain magic trick, and also, and George will deny this, Snow White, a character—
Bring back the extortion notification sounds, Karma. I need you to understand the amount of comments that I received on the quartering video was unnaturally angry at how bad that extortion audio clip was.
in its
I received maybe like 100 comments just being like, fucking kill yourself.
most common depiction
And I was like, you know what? I feel like people hate this.
being aged 14,
Do they watch me? I'd like to be, you know, for everybody.
where George would draw people's
Extortion sound every time we hit the goal. Okay, I'll do that. You know what? Fair trade. I will tell you what the goal is. I will not click it there because I don't want Beckett to call me a hypocrite, okay? I will keep track of it. And if we hit a goal, and it's a secret goal, I will hit the extortion button.
Characters in that dress. Now, why had Susie taken so long to cover the topic? Well, they had actually spent those 2 years singing George, more commonly known as Horace's, good praises, in preparation for said video's release, where Susie would proceed to defend him.
Well, technically, we already hit one of the goals for memberships in my brain, so we gotta play that for Q because obviously Q gave that to us. So Q gave us 20 gifted members, so we hit one of the goals. Where the hell? There it is. Oh, that's just me and Beckett laughing at it. This is the closest you're gonna get.
I know there's nothing I can say that will convince you that this is fucking extortion!
Thank you so much for the dono, dude.
This is the story of how a key figure in the slideshow commentary community defended a groomer, allowed them back into their community, and caused victims to apologize, along with said victims even ending up in the same spaces as their groomer. As a preface for this video, Susie has been facing backlash on other situations that are now being—
Backlash is like an understatement. Susie is being nuked from orbit with entire fucking communities just descending upon their corpse like a bunch of vultures trying to find an easy meal, dude. That is an understatement to what DoodleTones is dealing with. Dude, I tried DMing DoodleTones and I can't DM them. It's fucking bullshit. I'm still mad about it. I'm still mad. I'm still really, 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 really mad. Do I even have that DM still open? I think I closed it because I got annoyed. And I kept looking at it. I was like, please, DoodleTones, I want to interview you and call you a retarded diaper fetish lover.
Revisited, and others will be talking about them in due time. I understand the limit of my scope and will be mainly—
You know what? I have an idea. If somebody draws the artwork of me and Beckett like sitting there in chairs and DoodleTones is like screaming, "This is extortion," and you put the audio of like DoodleTones screaming and the both of us laughing, I will do what Beckett does and swap over to that screen, and that will be your stickers. How about that?
focusing
Why would I want to DM Susie? I hope you washed your hands afterwards because I wanted to fucking gay op them into a call, dude. I'll say it.
Horror situation. So now, without further ado,
I never gay op, but against DoodleTones, I make exceptions.
Let's get into it. 2019, Susie's George Raccoon stream. Back in 2019, before Susie even made the Horace video, they hosted a—
Is it just me or is everyone with a raccoon avatar a freak in some form? Yeah, true.
Stream where they came to his defense. Unfortunately, there isn't much if any record of this stream occurring, aside from multiple testimonies, and the backlash DoodleTones got from said stream for blaming the victim for the actions Horace took. Doodle would—
Wait, I'm in college and haven't kept up with anything. DoodleTones defended a pedophile years ago. They covered up the FCK, which is full of people trying to get kids to like draw pornography and take thigh photos and talk sexually with them. DoodleTones knew all of this and like let it fucking go this entire time. Lied to people, slandered people. You know, basic shit out of Doodles.
Would then later go on to cry about this in Horace's DMs when they were planning to do their video in 2021, saying how the SCC quote-unquote bullied them into silence.
This is the greatest cope I've ever seen out of DoodleTones. You have to recognize how fucking hilarious that is, okay? Like really, really, really funny how great this one message is that is highlighted right here. I was bullied into silence. Dude. You can't call and cry bullied into silence when your entire Discord server was coordinating to bully people into silence about their own stories against people that you were friendly with or against people that you didn't like. So you need to understand one fundamental fact here, Doodles, is that you have no say into what's being bullied into silence. You wanted to protect your friend, you got bodied, you waited a few years, and then tried to undermine everybody who was right. That's all you did, Doodles. You didn't get bullied. You were showed the truth. You didn't like it, didn't accept it, and wanted to defend your friend.
But we will get into the DMs between Doodle and Horace in due time. 2021. Can we please talk about George Raccoon? In this part, I will mainly be dissecting the insanity of Susie.
Check my DMs. Okay, Amber. What is it? Sup, you look mentally, I want to take care. Okay.
Video in defense of Horace that thankfully still exists thanks to Internet Archive. Well, I may as well explain why a lot of this information is hard to come by and how Doodle had deleted their channel, in Doodle's own words, accidentally.
I heard somewhere that DoodleTones also sent Fuda porn to a minor. I did not hear about that. If that is true, there's a lot of words you can call DoodleTones.
When
That's the most I'm doing until somebody sends me some kind of confirmation of that.
2025,
Which I don't want to see the Fuda stuff. I don't want to see it.
the George video
Rin's channel? Oh yeah, Rin's video. Okay.
was learnt about more widely by people such as Lio Convoy and Chuli, where they had requested Doodle hand over ownership of the account due to it having a lot of important archive calls and videos along.
Listen, Yen, you're downplaying Doodles' entire thing there. They were being extorted. Why are you hiding that, Yen?
With information in the comment sections on said videos, which Doodle agreed to do, but explained they had accidentally deleted it, which is a very convenient excuse, and utter bullshit in my opinion, as anyone who has owned a YouTube account or Google account would know there are several safeguards in place to stop that from happening. And the only defense Susie provides for this is,
This is fucking extortion!
but
Kind of based that Yen put in the greatest fucking sound clip that Doodles has ever graced the platform. Dude, the thing is about the extortion thing, it's like, hey, we need you to hand over all relative channels because you have important archives. And Doodles, being the person that is terrified of that information getting out there, started screaming obscene, slanderous things and saying it was extortion, which it wasn't. Doodles, you are now a confirmed liar, which I already knew. Lyle and the rest of them are like, Chris, you're being really fucking mean, Doodles. Yes. Because I knew all this before anyone else did. I didn't know about the Horus stuff, didn't know about the Cloud Palace stuff, but I had an inkling. I had a feeling. So when Doodle said the extortion line, you know what they could have done? Instead of screaming the extortion line, saying, at the minimum, I could give you managerial positions of the YouTube channel, which means you have full access to every single archive that I have ever had on that channel uploaded, but I will not give up the actual channel or my email. How about that? That's called... Ew. That's called a negotiation tactic, Doodles. You know, screeching at the top of your lungs and letting the voice changer kind of fuck up your entire flow is not really negotiating.
I won't dwell on this point too long. Here is the video.
God, this video terrifies me. Before you jump to a conclusion,
I know we already went over this video, but Yen's gonna clarify it.
please hear me out. October 6th, 2019, the slideshow
I'm not gonna hear you out, Doodles, because the DMs you provided were complete and utter trash.
commentary community was hit with a document posted by user Channel Gray, written by
I
an
love the line. The slideshow commentary community was hit by a document like it's 9/11. Al Qaeda wrote a Google Doc that crashed into the SCC towers, killed 3,000 members of the community.
ex-user Leo or whatever, detailing their experience talking with ex-commentator George Raccoon. This experience, explaining how they felt groomed by George, was the first time in recent memory that the SCC ever dealt with an expose in the typical cancel culture way. In retort, instead of defending himself, George left the internet, presumably admitting to his guilt, depending on who you ask.
Straight off the bat, we can see George outright admitting to what he did to Leo and how he allowed someone who he knew was a minor to access their NSFW account. And I quote,
Which I still don't, and I can't like wrap my head around this, how DoodleTones thought this was a good argument. Horace knew that they were a kid, and they still let them into their not safe for work Twitter account. That's already a bridge too far of something that you can fucking defend.
I deleted my YouTube account. I deleted my Twitters. I protected my Twitter because I felt people don't want to look at it. And upon my mum's request...
How old is this dude? He's in his 20s at this time? At my mom's request. She doesn't want me posting porn. So I promised my mom I would private the account. That is the most pathetic fucking thing I've ever heard in my life. I love that. I love that for George. I love that he's constantly suicidal. It's great.
I took down the major accounts. However, I realize now that some will see this as me running away from my responsibility, even when some want me to withdraw from the internet entirely, or Charlie telling me to do chemical castration.
So somebody said this dude needs to chemically castrate himself. You know what? Whoever Charlie is, based on Charlie, dude. Based Charlie. George should chemically castrate themselves. Yeah, there's no, I can't even like think of a better way to describe that. You know what? Based Charlie. Based Charlie.
I'm not happy at myself for what I have caused. There is no defending myself, and there is no point in beating myself up about it, even when it's really hard not to.
Charlie's a pedo who lit themselves on fire. Wait, so a pedophile told another pedophile to chemically castrate themselves. It's not based anymore. I take it back.
Tension I had in my mind between me and Leo was that I shared the videos because it looked like he was liking them. I didn't know that something was wrong with that. I was doing until it was too late. There's no going back to fixing it. What happened, happened. It's not good for me to shrug off something as big as that. Was what I did wrong? Absolutely. And I have a lot to learn from all of this. I know now not to share my NSFW stuff with a minor, and to be a lot more considerate about how they feel. When I was sending him videos and stuff about him in a dress, I wasn't thinking about fucking Leo or doing anything sexual with him. This is the part where it's the trickiest to word myself, as I'm walking on eggshells as I'm typing this and explaining myself. Immediately there is a contradicting point here of not having the intention of doing anything sexual with him, and yet you showed your NSFW account with a minor and share said fetish of disappearing acts because he liked them. Just because a minor likes guns doesn't mean I'm gonna hand him a rifle and tell him to have fun. Are we being so for real right now?
Well, yeah, that's the thing about this community is that they are all so deranged on the idea that because, oh, it happened to me and everyone's cool with it and the whole community does it, that means everyone should be cool with it and we should get other people involved with it. It's like none of that makes sense. That's all they do. That's what the FCK people said. That's what the fucking Cloud Palace people say. It's absolutely pathetic. That Charlie guy became trans, renamed themselves to Vivian after essaying someone that would later light themselves on fire. Jesus.
So, to begin this
Glamping or camping? Camping.
structural disaster of a video, I guess let's break down what the accusations themselves are. Mind you, the way that I'm wording these is just what the accusations are. Obviously, I'll be spending the rest of the duration of this video detailing which ones are accurate and which ones definitely needed more evidence. But with that said, the accusations are that George, who was in his 20s, led an at-the-time minor on his NSFW-ish account.
Off the bat, Susie completely misinterprets the document intentionally here by saying that the allegation is a minor got access. If we actually read the document, it states the following, and I quote, "I am not typically allowed on my friends' NSFW accounts because, well, I'm still a minor. I do not ask for permission to access these accounts because that would be inappropriate. And my friends don't invite me to follow them because that would be even more inappropriate. But I did follow one porn account of one of my friends, and whilst George described his account as NSFW-ish, he still openly spoke about what was sexually arousing to him, which by default makes it inappropriate for minors such as myself."
I don't think I didn't read the Google document. I watched the DoodleTones video, and that was enough for me to be like, yeah, this guy is like fucked. Hearing it in the document is fucking crazy, actually.
I will stress that during the time I followed the account, I saw that there were other minors on it as well, but they were people I didn't know personally, so that kept me from reaching out to them. The role of his account was that he had to reach out to you and allow you on there. And he did. He reached out to me, he invited me, a 16-year-old, he actively wanted me to follow it. And if you want to be like that and tell me I shouldn't have been on it in the first place, then fine, go ahead. I didn't know it was NSFW until I started following it, but once I saw the words NSFW-ish in the bio, I should have immediately—
I love the cope, NSFW-ish. NSFW is never ish. There's no ish with that. It's either NSFW or it's not.
left. I should have, but I didn't. I liked George himself, rationalized it was okay because it was only partly NSFW. We were both in the wrong for that. I'll take responsibility for that if I have to. End quote. Now, by itself, that may sound like a minor slip up, but this kind of language is consistent throughout this video. Note how what's said here is a subtle but much more damaging allegation compared to what Susie is trying to portray. Now you may be saying, Yen, you're giving Susie too much credit. Susie is a deranged moron, right? Well, you are right. But what I mean by this is that I would like to show you a pattern of behavior here of how Susie uses their own personal vested interest in a situation to go ahead and sway it which way or the other.
Well, yeah, DoodleTones has been side-cucked forever. If you're on DoodleTones' side, they'll sweep for you no matter what, constantly, every day. They'll actually actively go out of their way to sweep versus being like, you know what, I'm not getting involved. There's a difference between the two. Actively sweeping means you step foot into the situation and then just start arguing on behalf of that person no matter what. And then there is the better option, which is, hey, I'm too invested into this. I have nothing to say about it, and I don't want to be involved in it. See, that would be smarter, but DoodleTones is too stupid. They're actually an idiot, and if you're friends with them, they will defend you to the death. If you're an enemy of theirs, like Akumu, Gilded, Medicare, all the rest of them, they'll just make shit up about you and slander you all day long.
Something I will build on much later into this video, and in all honesty, the situation I'm referring to deserves its own video in of itself, but I will explain it all in due time.
He would draw his friends, including said minor, in Snow White dresses, which were a fetish of his, send pictures of himself.
That sentence alone, the Snow White dresses, which were a fetish for him, should be enough for Doodles to recognize, you know what, even all the other times that he drew other people in them, it's a fetish for him. It's kind of fucking weird. But nope, DoodleTones is like, well, he was drawing everyone in it, so it can't be a fetish. It's like, are you retarded? Nobody's that invested in something and it not being a fetish.
Wearing said dress to the minor, this was seen as him being sexual, would constantly pester the minor who—
Don't these people have jobs? Nope! Not a single one of them. DoodleTones doesn't even have their goddamn GED, dude.
Should also mention at this point, was trans into wearing said dress, which was uncomfortable for them, came back to doing all this stuff after being confronted about it initially, sent videos of magic tricks to a minor, magic tricks being another fetish of his. After Leo broke off the friendship with George, he had blown up in their DMs with a lot of concerning self-destructive messages, and blatantly admitted to grooming Leo. Wow, these accusations seem rather damning, right? It's cut and dry. That should be the end of it. Video over. George groomed Leo. Roll credits. Except this is when I scream in frustration at how quickly people were to believe these accusations, especially in 2019, a year after the Spoctor Theory situation happened. So let's go over what is and isn't true within this document.
Didn't she drop out of high school? I think she dropped out of high school, I think.
Starting with something that is objectively true, because I do want to go into this as unbiased as humanly possible. I won't be able to go into it fully unbiased, of course, but, you know, I'll give it a fair chance. George—
How are magic tricks a fucking fetish? I don't know. Mental illness? That's like asking why people find feet attractive to me. It just doesn't make any sort of logical sense in my brain, like why anyone would find feet attractive, why anyone would find, like, farting attractive. Like, it's just— there's something in the brain that the wires are so fucking crossed that you're just a complete dredge to society.
Did let Leo onto his NSFW-ish account. So to—
Stop calling it ish. I'm so annoyed. I'm already annoyed listening to this video again. It's not ish. It's either not safe for work or it's not. Do you hear the ish? Do you hear that they pronunciated the ish? They're trying to downplay it.
Elaborate, as someone who also followed that account at the time, George had a specific account where he could share more adult themes to his friends who were more comfortable with it. There wasn't anything necessarily explicit ever posted on there, I want to assure you, and this was detailed out the gate for anyone who followed that account.
As we can see on this screen, it clearly states how George would post things related to his fetishes, which by its nature is sexual. At least for George, including bunny suits, something intrinsically sexual, finding its most common association
Wait a minute.
to the—
I'm so sorry. I must have missed that last time. He was into bunny suits? Yeah, I definitely missed that. I definitely missed that last time. You know what? Yep, that makes sense. Yep. How did Doodles, like, say this wasn't a fetish account when in the bio it says bunny suits are a fetish of mine? And it pleases me a lot. Like, he actually added this section. It pleases me. Like, dude, it is so obvious what this account is. How did Doodles, like, pretend that isn't what was happening?
Playboy company in the magazines it releases, and is an outfit that is of a sexual nature. Not to mention George's more discreet kink—
I don't know the difference between the bunny suits. I assume the Playboy ones.
like magic tricks being listed. You could make the point in saying Snow White isn't a fetish for Horace, but given it is stated to be posted on his NSFW account, I find a very hard time believing this.
Interesting line right here. Don't leak anything on here unless I say it's okay. That's a very, very interesting line there.
A point I will build upon later into this video.
As the pinned tweet had this image directly connect to it. You maybe know—
You know what, like, what aggravates me a lot about, like, fucking DoodleTones is that they'll use, like, lolly anime characters and nobody had any questions for that. Like, they all just let it continue to go. You know what I mean? Like, they were just like, yeah, that makes sense. DoodleTones using lolicon characters as their sprites. Yeah, that makes sense. Like, they were all like, ah, that's not a problem.
Noticing some other things on here that'll be important later, and don't worry, we'll come back to them. The important part of this image at the moment, though, is rule number 1. Porn and nudity will not be retweeted on here. So nothing that George shared directly was NSFW.
You're an idiot. It's literally not safe for work. It says these things are a fetish of mine, and if he's drawing them as that fetish, he is attracted to that fetish and that outfit in particular. If he's drawing a minor in it, he is attracted to the idea of that minor being in the dress. You fucking idiot.
So in that sense, he was fine. However, considering that he did label it as NSFW-ish, that's still
Stop with the ish!
arguably not exactly okay, and as someone who's kept in touch with him for all this time, yes, even he acknowledges in hindsight this was not okay.
I love that we're arguing hindsight 2 years later because you got blown out the water and you got pissy that people didn't take your side because you're a mentally ill, narcissistic, diaper-loving freak.
So sure, in that sense, George was irresponsible. Not to the extent he should be ostracized and crucified for it, personally, I'd argue, but definitely should have been informed that this was not okay. So with
I feel like if this video came out with all the things that have been against Doodles for over a decade, I don't know how anyone in the SCC, ACC, or even Ponder Sprocket left a positive comment on that video. I don't know how you do that. I don't know how you don't question and go, wait a minute, like, wait a fucking minute here. Why is DoodleTones defending this guy? Doesn't DoodleTones have a bunch of shit like that on their fucking record? Like, come on, how didn't you think about it?
With that out of the way, I would also like to confirm something else explained in Leo's document, being that George did have a habit of self-destructing at the time, and I think just about everyone who was friends with him at the time had told him that this was a problem at some point. So, him going into Leo's DMs in the screenshots we do see towards the end of the document are kinda on brand. This is also something I'd argue shouldn't be a huge strike against George, though, as we don't see him doing it maliciously in the screenshots we get. In fact, everything that George says in those screenshots are evidence more against the idea that he was doing it to be purposely manipulative.
The very fact that Horace got called out for his horrific actions by Leo and is now self-deprecating himself to his victim is manipulative, Doodle. Given these screenshots were in the document, it is apparent to me that this could be seen as Horace trying to silence his own victim by apologizing here and there. Despite the fact that earlier in this video you showed the part of in 2019
Apparently Ponder only listened to the video in the background and barely paid attention. That's so convenient.
how Horace wanted
I'm sorry, that's just incredibly convenient to me.
to draw Leo in a dress, but also
Sorry, just incredibly convenient.
how in 2017 when Leo was 14, Horace had wanted to draw Leo before, but under Leo's friend's guidance had been told to not do that ever, but Horace had asked about it again and
I'm sorry, Horace was aware that they were 17 years old at the time. I mean, not 17, 14 when they first asked to draw them in that outfit and then waited until they were 16 to draw it again. How did Doodles make a video like this? How the fuck do you have the balls to make a video like this?
continued to engage with a minor in this manner, as if he had never given up on the idea of getting Leo
It's not had given up. He never gave it up, ever, in his life. He never did this.
specifically drawn in a dress, and normalize him to the idea of engaging in Horace's poorly disguised fetish. I think there's a word for that, Doodle.
As his messages say that he fucked up, and that Leo shouldn't feel bad or concerned about anything he was saying, trying to reassure Leo that they can move on. But did George have any reason to feel as such?
There we go. I forgot like how blatantly obvious the victim blaming was. It's like, it's actually skin crawling. Like, this is called victim blaming, okay? This is actual victim blaming. Being like, well, did you ever feel like, did you ever think about how the pedophile might have felt because the kid didn't tell them to stop talking to them? That, to me, is actual victim blaming, you know? Like, that's real victim blaming.
Well, this is why this video exists, because I plan to make the argument that, no, I don't think he should. Now, mind you, I'm not an expert. I should get that out of the gate. I'm merely giving my thoughts and feelings on this 2-year-old situation and why I disagreed with the common consensus. Whether or not you think I'm right or wrong by the end of it is entirely up to you. If your mind's made up, it's made up. I won't fight you
It is the retarded mosquito grizzly.
on it. And as such, I want to stress to not go out and harass the individuals involved in this situation, especially given what I have to say about the situation by the end of it all. 1, because, yeah, this drama is about 2 years old and most everyone has moved on. 2, nobody,
I love that DoodleTones like doesn't add in this section where they were in the Cloud Palace saying, well, I got bullied in the silence. If they believe that they were truly bullied in the silence or that it was swept under the rug and that nobody really cared about George's position, wouldn't DoodleTones bring that up? Being as confident as they are, being like, this story was buried and nobody understands why George is, what George did wasn't that bad. Like, if DoodleTones just had some balls, they would bring it up, but they don't actually believe it. They just didn't like the fact that they were called wrong.
no matter how heinous their actions are, deserves harassment,
Find a bridge, Horace.
contrary to the popular belief. And 3, because harassing people is lame. Plain and simple. So now that I have the formalities out of the way, let's begin with the first part of the grooming allegation, the Snow White dress. So, something to note about George is that his favorite Disney princess is Snow White, and apparently in accordance to Leo,
Yes, the person was still a minor, and DoodleTones is victim blaming them currently.
and George would bond over their mutual appreciation.
When did my session with Doodles start? Medicare days, baby. During the DeviantArt rants that he used to do, and when Doodles came upon my radar is when I was like a dumbass, like watching Medicare streams, and I was like, holy shit, this person sucks.
For the character. Leo would allow George to draw their character wearing the dress.
Much like other people that know anything about Doodles that aren't ACC or SCC, it's all Medicare.
Dress of the titular character, and didn't see anything wrong with it until Gwen, another character.
Sorry, not sorry, but I don't trust a grown man who has a favorite Disney princess. Why are you sorry about that? I wouldn't trust it either. Like, if I was hanging out with a guy, he's like, dude, my favorite Disney princess is, like, Cinderella, I'd be like, get the fuck away from me, you freak.
In this story.
I'd be like, you're not right. You're not right in the head. That movie's for little girls. Like, what are you doing?
Informed Leo that the dress was a kink of George's, and that George was forbidden to draw anything regarding Leo and her dress. But, hold on. George's aforementioned rules bulletin explicitly mentions that he doesn't see Snow White as a kink of his. This was established on his NSFW-ish account from the beginning. So for Leo to sit there and believe something that was blatantly against that established descriptor feels kind of sketchy to me. Especially when Leo follows up explaining this to the reader that if you asked George about Snow White being a kink of his, he'd deny it, which always struck me as strange. To sit here and preemptively revoke any further discussion on this kind of topic by making such a blanket and certain statement claiming the subject to be a liar when the information they give doesn't match your own feels, ironically enough, like a lie in of itself.
Oh. Do you see the attack right there? Did you hear that properly, chat? Did you hear that properly?
By making such a blanket and certain statement claiming the subject to be a liar when the information they give doesn't match your own feels...
Too bad the information did match. You just proceeded to completely ignore it. Thank you for the 10. Tip for being great background while deep cleaning. The loudness is very motivating. I'm glad. I'm very glad that I could help be your background noise. That's all I want to be. It's just a background noise. I'm cool with that.
Ironically,
thank you for the 20 months of Pokemon. At least pick a base princess. Okay, like Tiana. I don't know who that is, but okay.
Enough, like a lie in of itself. The tone of this document is to inform or educate people on your own experiences with an individual you claim to have groomed you. But as
which they did do. And you are downplaying that they are giving their experience. And it matched up to the information provided at said time. Thank you, sister, for the 50 sec. These freaks never survive commentary. This is why they don't care about this stuff. They just use it against people they dislike and sweep for friends. Yeah, that's usually.
As much as it typically isn't what people want to hear, there usually is two sides to a story such as this. And without the proper evidence to prove that your opposition has a behavioral pattern with lying or manipulation...
There's no lying or manipulation. You are attributing lying and manipulation when it is a straight fact that Horace said... The Snow White thing's a fetish for me.
This kind of claim feels more like its sole purpose is to shine a much more malicious light on your target instead of giving out the truth. Or at the very least, a believable testimony, which isn't something you would want to do if your goal is to educate people on a groomer in the community. But to me, it doesn't have to be a straight-up sexual thing, because it is clearly...
Sorry, Chris, Princess of the Frog? I have no idea what that is. I haven't even seen that movie. Dude, I don't watch Disney. I'm a grown fucking man.
Something he finds appealing. I'd also like to directly respond to this, because I find it to be frustrating. This claim would only be valid if we were to be under the pre-notion that George...
Listen, guys, we have 78 likes, 292 people here. Let's get them likes up. If you do it, if it hits 100, you will listen to the extortion clip again.
George's appreciation for...
That's another goal.
Snow White was sexual in nature, which, as I demonstrated, I don't have any reason to believe is the case, and with that, George could find this dress to be an aesthetic appeal, or maybe an appeal to nostalgia, or... literally any other appeal that you could look at that's used in art and advertising. Appeal doesn't have to be sexual.
but he described it as a fetish, which makes it inherently sexual. So I don't get your argumentation here. He said the word, it's a fetish for me.
This is again unfortunate to this document because anyone who thinks about this for longer than a minute tops could come to the same conclusion.
Nope.
I like to draw hoodies on my characters that don't typically have them and call them cool.
There's a difference between a hoodie and a dress, and you do not call the dress a fetish, Doodles, even though you use fetish style artwork.
Jackets because they're fun and there's an appeal in drawing that.
Yes, Doodle, because in Leo's document there's no sign of Horace intertwining his known kink of magic tricks and the Snow White dress. Oh wait, there is a pattern in the screenshots of Horace and Leo's tweet DMs of Horace messaging about the Snow White dress, followed up by sharing videos of magic tricks. Horace is king. Even Horace himself says how he was currently wearing a Snow White dress while sending Leo a magic trick video.
What? Oh, what? Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't hear that I didn't read that last time. I'm so sorry. So, while Horace was wearing a Snow White dress, they were wearing the dress and they sent them a video of something they consider to be their fetish. Dude, how is it that it's open and shut case? How did DoodleTones do this?
So no, Doodle, I don't think it's insane to say that the Snow White dress was a kink, but Doodle would never sully something as innocent as Snow White with the form of, oh, I don't know, children in diapers.
That doesn't mean hoodies turn me on. Get real. Anyway, then Leo explains that
Is it bad that I'm like unfazed by this? You're kind of becoming jaded, bro.
Ren chewed George out about
You gotta laugh at the insanity, buddy. That's the only way to stay sane.
it. George backed down from drawing Leo in a Snow White dress, probably intimidated by Gwen if I'm to be honest, though of course, that would be something you'd have to ask the supposed groomer in this scenario. And then cut to 2 years later in 2019. George winds up drawing Leo in a Snow White dress twice. Leo goes on to make the
How does that not, again, how isn't that a red flag, Doodles? Like, I know I'm like repeating my talking points from the last time we covered this, but like, how isn't that a red flag? Where he says it's a fetish, he wanted to draw them when they were 14, they said no until they turned 16, and even then, that's still way too big of an age gap. Then on top of that, they sent them a video of what they consider to be their magic fetish to the minor dressed in a dress that is their fetish, and then proceeded to draw the minor 2 times in that dress. I don't get how there's so much compounding situations that make it worse and worse, and Doodles is somehow hand-waving it. I don't get it.
the theory that it's because by this point they didn't hang out with Gwen anymore, and George, quote-unquote, knew he wouldn't be called out about it. And I'm so glad Leo clarified it as such, because otherwise it would heavily look like a narrative was being spun to ruin someone, and we definitely wouldn't want that. But in reality, could we not make the argument that George just forgot about what happened 2 years prior?
I'm so sick of this shit. I know I've heard it last time, but like I'm so sick of it. I'm so sick of it. I'm sick of this like just random amnesia everyone gets. It's so annoying. It's so annoying. Like I'll joke and be like, yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. Like I'll make a meme about it. But like these people use that as like a genuine excuse to avoid like all the bullshit that they've done. They're like, hey, you know that time that you were in the FCK asking thigh photos from minors? No, I have no recollection of that. I have no memory at all. Like, oh, what do you mean that there's screenshots? Oh yeah, I do remember what you're talking about. Like, shut up.
Leo doesn't clarify that there was any conversation regarding the two of them that would have reminded George of the conversation in question, so this is again,
It's literally the worst gaslighting on planet Earth.
at best, just an assumption on Leo's end that paints George in a much different light than what might have been the actual truth of the matter. Plus, Leo even tells us following this that George asked to draw the first piece for them. So even if he did remember, maybe he wanted to see if the opinion on the matter changed from whatever Gwen might have talked to George about, since we also didn't get that side of the story, and was instead just told to get it through Gwen's at the time Twitter handle.
Yeah.
That doesn't change the situation at hand, Doodles. Thank you for the 5, Cassie. The dress George cranks it to is worn by a 14-year-old, and he wanted to draw a 14-year-old in it, and Doodles doesn't think that's sus. That is an interesting point. I didn't know the age of Snow White. So Snow White was 14. He wanted to draw a 14-year-old in the dress, had to be told no, waited until they were 16, did it anyways. Yikes!
Yes, the mighty commentary amnesia of 2 years elapsing from being told something very
Dude, I'm so happy that me saying the SCC amnesia is starting to like spread into these other videos.
bluntly not to do something, but doing it anyway.
Following this, there's an explanation of George's self-destructive behavior before going on to justify that as the reason Leo said yes to everything that George did. And it's here that I really start questioning matters, because throughout the entire document, there's not a whole lot of screenshots to help Leo's case, and
Again, doesn't change anything. Here's why. Maybe I can scroll to like when me and Beckett were talking about the George stuff. Okay, me and Beckett need to stop fucking talking to each other. It's like way too many fucking DMs. If anyone remembers, I leaked some, what was the word? Cloud Palace messages that George left, where George was like suicide baiting about his art not being taken, like not appreciated or whatever. And like, if he's doing that in a public space and there's a kid that he is suicide baiting, the kid is privately, like publicly, he's doing that in your like little hug box, right? Imagine having that happen to a kid. That is enough for us to run with. If he's a constant suicide baiter, imagine doing that to a child. The kid's gonna feel guilty.
Leo does
It's called manipulation, Doodles.
explain that because George deleted everything, they didn't exactly have the time or ability to screen cap everything that they thought was important. And like, okay, I get that. But when the screenshots that you do share are just you happily nodding to everything and getting excited that George drew you in a Snow White dress while simultaneously telling us, the reader, that you were uncomfortable about it all, then pardon...
I found them. I'm sorry. I just have to read this to you again. This is the guy that we're dealing with. If you're new to this, this is the guy. This is the guy that Doodles is talking about. I'm just gonna read this to you. I don't get it. When someone tells me that everything's fine after I made a mistake, why do I continue to feel like shit? I should be better than this. But I guess that's too hard to accomplish for me. To be honest, I wish I'd just stop making mistakes altogether. Wouldn't feel like garbage and be a hindrance to everyone around me as a result. This is the guy we're dealing with that was doing this to the kid in DMs about his fetishes.
me for looking at this whole situation skeptically.
Yeah, him using a sad anime girl as a fucking way to convey his emotions it sends me to the fucking moon, dude. It's so funny.
Did George know that these images made you uncomfortable?
Isn't George an adult, Doodles? Like, wouldn't George, as an adult, have agency not to send that to a minor in a sexualizing, compromising position? I don't know how you didn't make that argument.
Did you tell him?
Yen thinks that Fagos may have been in the stream where Susie originally defended Horace. That portion of the stream is up. You want to check it out? I might check it out later.
They did? Because even in accordance to your own document, that doesn't seem to be the case. You tell us that you said it was okay before going on your own self-deprecating tirade about the fact that you'll throw yourself to the dogs for your friends.
Way to put the blame on a victim for not voicing how uncomfortable they were when being groomed, and mock them for expressing their emotion in a document where they're coming out about their
See, I'm not gonna moral this shit. I'm just gonna keep a buck with you. Doodles is retarded, all right? Like this, like there are times you can question a story, an allegation, right? If there are holes to be found, right? And the way you do it is that you are able to navigate that conversation in a way where you can talk about it, give your opinion on it, but not commit yourself to it until there's more information that comes out. The thing that Doodles did wrong is that all the information went out. All the information was pointing in the direction that George was a creep and a predator. All the information proved that. Doodles got called out for it 2 years ago and then spitefully made a video trying to change the narrative 2 years later. See, that's how you don't question a story, Doodles.
experiences. Real nice.
And I'd even be able to give the benefit of doubt in saying that you could have felt uncomfortable about it all in hindsight, but then not only would that be a lie because you actively told us that your mind wandered to the aforementioned conversation with Gwen, but also that's in hindsight.
They give the 5, brother. But you're saying the same thing about Doodles' own grooming? But if you say the same thing about Doodles' own grooming, yeah, true. You would get a lot of shit for that.
This wouldn't
Crazy, remember that?
change the reaction we see in the screenshots that Leo gave us that would have given...
Remember when I was getting shit for that? Where I was like, I don't believe this? And I was like, you know what? Like, there's way too many holes in this. The timeline doesn't make sense. Remember I was getting shit for that?
George the idea that this was not only okay, but encouraged.
I just want to remind you this is an interaction between someone who had known Horace since they were 14 years old, and knows Horace can self-destruct and self-deprecate himself when challenged or pushed on things, and having that thought lingering over their head while speaking to them. The point in saying Leo would throw themselves in front of a bus for their friends would mean that they would rather suffer than see his friends suffer.
Which can be construed because George knew who they were and what kind of person that they were and what kind of mindset that they would have. That could be construed to, and most likely is, with all the evidence we have, as a form of manipulation because he knows what's going to happen to Leo, and he's going to make Leo feel bad so that he can continue to come back to Horace, and Horace could have control over that. I don't know how Doodles doesn't fucking recognize it, but...
That would include Horace. You are saying you got flack for putting the onus on a child, Doodle, and yet you are doing it right here whilst
We're 4 likes away. We're 4 likes away from the extortion.
making this point explicitly leaving out the parts where Horace does share his blatant kink of magic tricks to make your point.
Oh, but Doodle, are you trying to say that it's Leo's fault he was groomed? No, I'm saying this isn't grooming at all.
That is a crazy thing to say, standing 10 tones down where there's that much information. Yes! 105 likes! There you go, chat.
I know there's nothing I can say that will convince you that this is fucking extortion!
I'm sorry. I just, still to this day, I find it to be the funniest thing imaginable. I'm sorry. I find that personally funny. You might not find that funny, Vaughn Watcher, but I find it funny.
Tactic of grooming is testing the boundaries to figure out how you can push.
Did she fuck him? Why was she dying on the hill for this guy? Because he was a part of her little gay Discord server that was a hug box, and they all swept for each other.
Past them to get into a sexual context. For another example, and I apologize in advance for using an actual instance of grooming as an example. I'm aware of how tasteless this could come off, but I feel it's important to show what it would look like had George actually been trying to groom Leo in a situation such as this.
Then don't do it. I want to make a point in how disgusting and lowering of a victim's experiences when you compare 2 different cases in this way. You are outright saying, well, it isn't as bad as this case of grooming, so it can't be that bad, and catering to the audience and community's understanding of a known and proven case of predation to undermine the voices of those affected in the horror situation.
See, this is the thing. Yen is so much better at articulating their verbiage than I am. I'm just like, dude, this guy's a freak. DoodleTones, you're retarded.
Since our community actually has an example. So, let's talk about V Omega. V Omega.
Yeah, okay. Let's try and do a comparison between 2 entirely separate situations to make some sort of inference that one is worse than the other when it's still bad.
It was outed not even a full year after.
I hate when people do this. It's like, hey, this is like what Jar did, right? And I think I said this last time. Jar was like, well, look at the Pyro drama. Nobody cared what Pyro did. It's like Pyro and City were 2 totally different things. Same thing with George and V Omega. 2 totally different things. Yeah, literally. You're doing trauma Olympics between 2 entirely different situations.
After George's allegations by
The only thing that they have in common is that a child was being abused in this situation.
Joni ruin a twit longer. This post outlined that V was an abusive, controlling, transphobic groomer, and I will happily concur to those labels. I'll be talking my experience with them in another video if it's not already out, because I'll have to then. I'll leave a link below to the full twit longer if you wish to read up on it all, but the particular centerpiece that I want to look at, of course, is the grooming allegations. Though, while Joni didn't exactly have any screenshots relating to that particular allegation and was much more focused on V's abusive behavior, V sure as hell was willing to give them in a now deleted Twitter thread he was making responding to it all. Luckily, I have the important receipts. So, here's a screenshot that V took of their DMs from January of 2018. You can see here that V and Joni are talking about pornography, with Joni explicitly saying that she was not one to look at pornography. By April of the same year, the topic was brought up again, with Joni admitting
Congratulations on your new job, Rivers.
sometimes looking at specifically furry porn. By March of the next year, while we don't see the fullest extent of this screenshot, we can see that Joni was all for talking about pornography.
I love this so much. It's like, look, this is how I construe the idea of a kid being abused. It doesn't fit what I believe to be the definitional idea of this, because V Omega, according to her, is like the only way that could happen. It's such a cope.
showing that V's attempt to wear down her boundaries was, unfortunately, grossly successful. Fucking creep. But we don't see that with George. We're only told that through the lens of Leo, and even through that lens we can see that Leo never vocalized these feelings. So, how do we know that George's motivations are more malicious than maybe tone deaf?
You're such an idiot. Tone deaf. Dude, how is it tone deaf when he calls something a fetish and then draws the child in said fetish? I don't get how that's tone deaf.
Literally can't. And I'm tired of acting
And
like
George also wiped all of his DMs, Susie. You're leaving that very, 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 very important stuff.
this was okay. Plus,
This FCK server crap is the online version of the Epstein files. True!
I want to point out that these drawings that Leo alluded to being a source of George...
Wait, now I have a question. Who's Jeffrey Epstein, then, for the FCK? Who's Jeffrey Epstein? I would say it's Toasty. Lio is not the Jeffrey Epstein of the FCK files. Toasty? All right, we'll call Toasty. Toasty is the Jeffrey Epstein. Nezzy Monster is the Ghislaine Maxwell. There we go.
George's grooming. Even if they were sexual, it wasn't
Just really had to throw that out there.
exclusive to Leo, which also puts into question
It doesn't matter if it was exclusive to an individual. They still drew you in what they consider to be their fetish.
how much of this could actually be considered as such.
Also, DoodleTones is outright lying here by saying that Joni didn't have screenshots of the grooming occurring, and yet, the document they put out was full to the fucking brim with evidence. This document came out in 2020, as you can see currently scrolling across the screen. To say that there is not evidence of predation and grooming here is idiotic.
I've mentioned this in my Sherman videos before, but grooming...
Well, yeah, and you also missed out that they're trying to make an equivalency between these two situations like they're the exact same. It's literally trying to do the whole like, well, look what V Omega did. Look how bad that is. It's not as bad as this situation. It's literally them trying to manipulate the story to make one sound better than the other instead of looking at them as individual situations with individual conditions. I feel like we missed that, Yen.
is a targeted action.
I can't criticize anyone's thumbnails. If you look back on my thumbnails when I first started, they are trash.
Sure, you could argue someone can groom more than one person, but when George is making these kinds of images for anyone who's his friend above just a selection of people, then...
The FCK is Epstein Island and the Cloud Palace is a Diddy party. True. So you have no idea. So true.
I'm sorry. Even if these had sexual undertones, it would just be grossly irresponsible and inappropriate at worst.
You admit someone can groom multiple people and then say it's just gross negligence? And need I say how the other people he had drawn in the Snow White dress had access to his NSFW Twitter were also minors. Also yes, you heard that right, Doodle was clearly aware there wasn't just one person Horace drew in the Snow White dresses, but we will get onto that in its own section. I would also like to point out a pattern in behaviour here I will touch on throughout this part of the video, and that is by focusing in on the Snow White dress being the smoking gun of the source of George's grooming, helps to reduce the narrative overall, which shows how George is predatory. And what I mean by this is the use of the V Omega situation as a point of comparison to this less blatant example of grooming is used.
Okay, so Yen did bring that up. That it's obviously them just trying to compare one story to another and trying to pretend that's the situation.
To make the audience feel like, by comparison, what George did was forgivable or less severe. I know DoodleTones comes from the SCC where power ranking is rampant in videos, but power ranking grooming is insane.
Now, let's look at the spin-off to this allegation. George bought his own Snow White dress to wear, posted pictures on his NSFW issue.
Oh wait, sorry, I want to show you something. I'm having an autism moment. Somebody drew some very nice fan art. I like this. This is good. I don't have a dog, but it is cool. I do like that.
Twitter and allegedly gave Leo
Just wanted to shout out that person real quick.
pictures of his own whilst pestering Leo to wear one themselves. I really don't know what more to say. This is just more of the same, unfortunately. Leo goes around painting Snow White as one of George's kinks, which
Thank you for the two. Cloud Palace, more like Clout Palace. Bruh, it's a Diddy party.
has been put into question. Leo makes a very extreme statement claiming that George was sending him pictures of himself.
Whoa, buddy. Boogie tried to throw Nick DiOrio under the bus about Tommy quitting LolCal Live LOL's bold move cotton. Boogie is a fucking loser. You know what's funny is I saw him recently. I'm just going to say it. He was like, I might still have the cancer. Like, he like tried to tell me that. and I was hanging out with like fucking what was it? Some like the Lockout Live people. And I just said, Boogie, I hope you get the cancer. Like, I hope you actually have the cancer. Like, with no camera in front of me. I just said it. And this one girl, a part of the show, looked at me and she was like, Chris, how could you say something like that? I was like, he lied about it initially. If the universe is a just place, you'll actually get it this time.
Self wearing that outfit.
Like, I just straight up said it. Like, out loud. This one girl looked at me and she was like, why would... That's so mean. I was like, you don't understand, like, who you're talking to.
Directly, making the claim. The number of photos I got from him wearing the dress was almost 10 times the amount that he posted on his timeline. It very much became a weekly thing for him to do.
We recorded 360 video. Noah Sampson. IDK if I should upload it. Send it to me, Leon. I'll review it. No, like, I know it's like, I know you're like, why would you want that? But like, listen, I could optics check you on the Noah stuff if you need it. Okay, dude.
He would send me 5 or more pictures of
Just DM it to me. I'll watch it off stream, and I'll DM you my thoughts. How about that? Thank you for the 2 DoodleTones with baby oil. That's so gross. Rift with the 5. Gonna sound cringy gay, but hashtag fleece schlep. Will catch VOD later. Big man, hope you're having fun dunking on Doodles. Dude, I'm having a great day. I'm back. I'm enjoying my time. I'm not involved in stupid shit. I'm living my best life, dude. I hope you're doing well, too.
him in the dress and asked me for compliments, my overall thoughts, and if he looked cute.
Maybe run it by Nick. Nick's not going to go over that.
/ pretty. This is then followed by 0 screenshots of George doing this and being probably the most frustrating example at the lack of screenshots being an issue with this document. Like, I can concede to the idea that maybe Leo wasn't able to get everything. Fine. Like, I'm not even saying that if Leo doesn't have every receipt in the world that these allegations should be put under extreme scrutiny. And I can accept the lack of evidence to a degree. But Leo is making such an enormous claim here alluding to George explicitly targeting them, and if there were that many instances of George doing this, why don't we even see one of them? You were able to get a screen-
Stop! I hate this. Oh, but you don't have a single instance of him trying to send pornography. It's like, no, like he drew them in these dresses, which is a fetish.
Between you and George talking about a dress, again with the problem of you visually not setting any boundaries for George to push, but I think
That's a kid. A kid cannot set up boundaries, you dumb bitch.
hammered that in enough. But with the evidence showing George sending direct pics of him wearing the Snow White dress, it doesn't exist. Why?
Because as you had previously noted, Doodle, Leo wasn't able to grab everything they thought necessary, and yet you choose to harp on this instead of the stuff we do actually see, which is evident enough as seen in the screenshots. You are again expecting a victim to know everything to save when being put-
Roblox is getting sued by politicians? Sweet. Good. Fuck it. Fuck Roblox. Fuck the company that runs Roblox. Fuck the people that defend Roblox. Fuck the lawyers that defend Roblox. Like what? It was eventually going to happen. They did this to themselves.
through this.
This is one of your biggest allegations and easily one of your most damning ones to boot. Ugh. Anyway, following this, we then get the dysphoria conversation, Leo being an NB trans mask, and this one's a bit more of a gray area.
I don't know how that's a gray area. Your entire existence, DoodleTones, is pretending that you care about trans people. I'm just gonna say it. I don't believe DoodleTones gives an absolute fuck about trans people. At all. At all. Does not believe in it. He does not.
I'm not going to put into question whether dresses do or don't give Leo dysphoria. That is not my place to say. I'm also not entirely too sure whether George did or didn't know whether Leo gets this way about dresses in particular. If George did know, then fuck, that's tone deaf as hell, and this could also go on the record as another one of George's actual transgressions. Get it? If he didn't, then I can't really get onto his case about it, especially since Leo doesn't show his discomfort in the screenshots, and either way, this would be he said, she said effectively. Still not-
It's not he said, she said. I know, I crashed out about this last time. I crashed out, like, so hard. All right? But it's not he said, she said when there is mounds of evidence pointing in the direction that George is a fucking creep.
Grooming, mind you, but also not particularly great had George been guilty of knowingly setting off
Yeah, I saw a link.
Leo's
Klutzy was
dysphoria.
here earlier.
The continual excuse of, but George would beat himself up also doesn't exactly help matters either, because
How?
I get it, but those boundaries not being set doesn't give me any reason to believe George's intentions with these conversations are more malicious than two friends bonding over a common interest.
You're such... This is a sweep. This is like... If you want to know what sweeping is, this is sweeping. Thank you for the 5. Apparently, Chris Hansen is involved as well in the case. But anyways, how am I? I'm good. I'm good. Chris Hansen. Oh, God. Not Chris Hansen. And literally anybody but Chris Hansen. Can you just put fucking Chet Goldstein in charge of that? I would rather Chet. I would rather Alex Rosen be in charge of the Roblox investigation than Chris scamming retard Hansen.
I don't want to seem dismissive about these claims, because I can't know how Leo actually felt about these conversations. For all I know, he could have been uncomfortable, and also I get how important it is to believe a victim of abuse.
When we get to JTech, it already happened, Princess, in the beginning of the stream. I recount a video that Doodles made alongside with Ponder shitting on clown teeth way back when, and I remember Doodles saying the F slur. Yeah, we also have a clip of Doodles saying the N-word, hard R, with the voice changer. It's definitely my favorite clip of DoodleTones ever in human history. I'm not going to play it because I want to I'm not going to get ads on this, so I might as well just do it. I wonder, it's in the Beckett stream. I think I was watching it recently because I was just looking back on like the DoodleTones stuff to like remind myself. Where is it? Oh, nope. That's what they look like. Oh, here it is. Here it is. Here it is. Do you want to hear DoodleTones scream the hard R with their fucking with their voice changer? It's absolutely amazing. It's my favorite clip of all time. Okay? It's my favorite clip.
For real? There's...
I'm just gonna let you listen.
Are you fucking for real? There's only the human race. Great logic. I guess I can call black people niggers.
What? It's so much funnier. It's so much funnier when it comes out of the voice changer. It's so much funnier. It's way funnier.
Plus, yeah, not every victim of abuse will know they're being abused.
And yet you spent this entire video
like hearing the hard R, you're already like, whoa, and then you hear it in the voice changer and it instantly becomes funny.
downplaying the victim's
Why did she do this? She was like arguing with someone else.
experience and saying how they didn't voice their discomfort, so George...
Yeah, there was no stutter in that. There was no like, maybe I shouldn't say this. It was said with like, they said it with their chest. What would Black Tipster have to say about this? I don't know what Black Tipster would have to say about this.
couldn't have known what he did was bad. Newsflash, Doodle, it is the adult's responsibility to know not to talk to a child about their kink.
True. Again, I don't get how Doodles doesn't understand that like baseline fundamental idea that it is wrong for a grown adult to talk about their fetishes with a child. I don't get how they didn't get that through their head.
Hell, you even showed how you got backlash from your 2019 stream and how you victim blamed Leo. From my understanding, having spoken to people behind the scenes, this video is just a neutered down...
You ever just think DoodleTones walks around like with like a voice box changer? You know how like smokers have like those things in their neck, like they put it right to the neck and they're like, hello, my name is Cassie. You know, like some shit like that. But instead of it being like the robot voice, it's just Doodles' fucking voice changer. I think they go around and they just whisper the N-word to themselves walking down the street.
Version of
They see a black family enjoying their time at a barbecue or at a pool or just walking around shopping and Doodles just has like the voice changer right there and it goes dirty N-words. Like
the 2019 stream, but the points you make here are still victim blaming and trying to get the heat off Horace by painting him as this lobotomy patient of a person with no thoughts in his head, aside from when he slapped on the...
They scream at them. Yeah, Doodles walks up to them like that mom did to that autistic black kid and just drops the hard R and runs away.
wrist, he cries like a sniveling pussy.
But it's hard to see George as an abuser when zero boundaries were initially drawn, and instead...
It's a kid. They don't know boundaries. That's why we don't talk to them about shit like this. And they don't develop boundaries until they're fucking older, Doodles. Please stop coping. I hate this video so much.
Leo
It's like giving me war flashbacks to when I watched it for the first time on stream and I almost had a mental snap.
willingly partook in these conversations, leading into what we are to believe to be George's desires. Leo's words paint one picture, whereas what we can see in the screenshots paints a totally contradictory one, and we're just supposed to believe these images are one of the same. We're not done, by the way. We still have the claim of magic tricks to talk about, and out the gate, I'm screaming. One of the first things you'll notice when going on his NSFW is his pinned tweet.
This is a video that Ponder just like straight up left a comment without watching saying, oh, this is what happens when people send out false allegations or handle false allegations. You know, that's crazy, Ponder. That's crazy, dude. That's crazy, Ponder.
You are encouraged to read before interacting.
Listen, don't get me on Ponder, all right? I'm waiting. That's all you gotta know. I'm waiting. I'm waiting on the Ponder stuff.
with this page.
Just, we already talked about it enough. I'm just waiting. Okay? I'm just waiting.
It was there that he detailed
Because when I wait, good things happen. Every time I wait, good things happen.
the things that he found sexually appealing, aka his kinks and a few rules of the account. I'm sorry? So, Leo is willing to detail what was in that pinned tweet. He even goes on to explicitly mention
It's oddly enough, are kinks of mine. Especially when a girl disappearing under a cloth, which was the video that was sent to Leo. Doodles, you're an idiot and you're sweeping.
the Delcota chair trick, George's favorite magic trick as outlined by his rules bulletin, but will conveniently leave out the section of Snow White when talking about that. I want to make it clear that I'm not out here trying to pin Leo as this bad person.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. You literally are. And it is blatantly obvious that you are. Based on your tone, based on the argumentation styles, based on the comparison between this and V Omega, you are 100% trying to paint Leo, this kid at the time, as a malicious actor. A reverse predator, if you will. Scarlet Reaper.
But covering this document makes it really hard when stuff like this is scattered throughout
Did you see me trying to convince Jar to give you a copy of his Tower of Babel? What did he say, Rocky? What did he say? I want the Tower of Babel. What did he say, Rocky?
the entire thing.
I saw, you know what's crazy? Speaking of Jar, like, teasing me about shit that gets me mad. Dude, this call is not real. I refuse to believe it's real. Like, I understand that Bo Blacks did confirm it, but like, what the fuck? What the fuck? Thanks to whoever posted that. I had a whole rant, and that artwork just completely just ruined it. Fuck you, whoever did that. That was a flashbang. I was not. God damn it.
It gets very blatant.
I don't want to pull that tweet up again. I don't want to pull that tweet up. It was literally a tweet of Jar saying, do you guys still want the call with me and Boblax? And I was going to rant about how Jar's just doing this to like dangle something in front of us and it's not real. But instead we got flashbang with Jar like squatting and shitting. Yeah, I got raped. I got raped by that art.
But yeah, so George did have a thing for magic
Why? Why?
tricks, specifically the Delcota chair, and yes, he even described it as a kink. So we are
I
getting
look like a straight version of Seth MacFarlane, multimillionaire, made Family Guy. Yeah, I don't see a problem with that. Survived 9/11. That's pretty cool, actually.
into some arguably creepy territory, and hey, credit where it's due. Leo talks about how George sent some videos involving something he finds to be his kink, and then actually shows us George doing
Is Seth gay? He acts gay.
so. However, and this is where I must remind you all that I'm not an expert and am merely giving my 2 cents on the matter,
Yeah, your 2 cents are fucking worthless. They're like rotted in your hand.
grooming is usually done with the
Part of him doing what? Did you miss that? I'm not pulling it back up. Look up the chat. No.
goal of sexual or
Why? Fairy Soulless VOD uploaded a call in regards to the 2019 chat with DoodleTones. Did that just happen? I don't know who the hell this is, but I'll find
financial
it.
satisfaction, and regardless of how creepy it may seem within the DMs, and you can definitely make an argument for it or against it being creepy, at the end of the day, I'm not going to fight a person one way or another about it. However, with the screenshots that we see in Leo's document, as much as they exist and show us that George did send these videos, the screenshots seem more conversational than sexual or
Oh, it's a 13-minute call. This is interesting. Let's
The George.
let's change gears here because I have yet to hear this point. So this is when Doodles 2 years ago was defending George. That's interesting.
Situation really,
I don't like the George situation, but not for the reason that you'd think.
like, I was really, when I found out about that, I pretty much broke down. I'm not even like, that
I
really,
pretty much broke down. This is so performative. Oh my god. I basically broke down because George got accused of being a freak, which he is.
like, depressed the shit out of me for today.
I have been looking more, or like I keep looking back at that document. I keep reading that document, and the more that I read that document, the less makes sense. And I think people kind of jumped too quickly to Leo's defense.
Ooh, so remember when Doodles was talking about not wanting to make Leo look like a liar or a horrible person? Oh god, the first 43 seconds of this call just blew that out of the water.
And don't get me wrong, I understand why. These are pretty heavy accusations.
I mean, I don't know. I did say something on Twitter about it. I didn't like.
Why does everyone in this community have like an autism accent? You know what I mean? I'm coining that. It's an autism accent where like the tongue constantly is at the roof of their mouth. Like
to like jump so quickly. But like pretty much the more I read it, the more it made sense to me. I don't know.
I strongly disagree. Well, okay, here's what I think. Here's what I think happened reading the document and reading poor Kate's document that followed it, right?
Yeah.
I think what happened was people, or I think what had happened was two people who don't know how to handle more stressful situations and don't know how to handle confrontation wound up meeting with each other and not knowing how to say no to one another, not knowing how to react to certain situations.
I'm so sorry. Wasn't George an adult? You know, that kind of like blows the rest of that out of the water, right? That doesn't like change the context in which the action was made, and especially when he knew them as 14 years old and wanted to draw them in the outfit still. So like I don't know how that changes anything.
It's two people who didn't, or it's two people who socially don't know how to read the room, or socially don't know how to, you know, think things through, I guess. That's what I think happened. It's just two people.
Oh, yeah. He totally didn't think it through, where he asked a 14-year-old if he could draw them in a dress and then waited until 16 and then drew them anyways.
People met up with each other. Neither necessarily did anything heinous. Both sides are at fault as well.
Both sides are at fault is crazy to say.
Don't get me wrong. I don't think George is necessarily innocent. He definitely should not have let
Man, then you should have brought that up in this video and been a lot more clear about it, Susie. Looks like you kind of contradicting yourself.
a minor on his, even if he calls it an NSFW-ish account, he should not have let a minor on there. He just should not have done.
Then why are you trying to like justify it in your own video, saying, well, it was an ish account. He you know, it wasn't like full blown NSFW. Why are you saying it in this call this way, and then in your video you're portraying it in a different way? That's interesting, Doodles.
But like, when looking at Leo's document, there's definitely a layer of fault on Leo.
Yes.
And there's definitely some weird things about Leo's document that has me asking so many questions that I don't think I'm literally gonna get any answers for.
I mean, the only thing that like really came across as odd was that like this wasn't the first time Leo had went through something like this.
It's not the first time that Leo went through this, and Leo was not able to pick up on any signs or tell George off about it.
That doesn't change anything.
And only came to the conclusion.
It doesn't change anything. I don't get this whole cope of being like, well, he didn't tell George's boundaries. I still can't justify anything involving that.
That Leo was groomed again because someone in another call presumed that George was grooming them. But that's not the only thing that's weird about this situation. Another thing that constantly gets brought up, at least to me, is how Leo looks at how George reacts to a situation, how George reacts to being wrong, how George reacts to screwing up, how we apparently know that, or have to know that George kind of self-destructs when he does something wrong. Leo writes that as if it's like the biggest problem that George has. But we're supposed to also turn a blind eye to all these times that Leo also self-destructs because they could be wrong?
No way. Dude, that doesn't change anything. One's a fucking child, one's a fucking adult. It doesn't change anything.
Like, it's just two people who share the same problem. One's just more vocal about it than another. That's all. That's literally the only difference between Leo.
You guys got a free chef. You got a free chef moment.
And George. There's a point in there where Leo straight out the gate presumes that George's kink involves Snow White dresses. And
presumes? Whoa! Presumes? It's on the not safe. Wait a fucking minute here. It's on the account. It says it's a kink. That's not a presumption. What are the ages? Like 20-something and 14 to 6. There's no presumption. It's in his own bio.
And then brings up how, George would deny this if you ask him, thus shutting out any potential conversation or potential discussion about whether or not that's actually true or not, combined with no screenshots actually indicating that the Snow White dresses are, in fact, part of George's kink. The magic tricks are another.
Why are you... DoodleTones is either lying here or has no idea what the fuck they're talking about, and they're an idiot for trying to speak on something without knowing anything.
Deal. You know, magic tricks are definitely a part of George's kink, and again, it's another point where he fucked up. But the Snow White dresses, we don't actually know. The Snow White dresses, there is no evidence to demonstrate that. There is no signs that indicate that. All we know is that George seems to think Snow White dresses are aesthetically appealing.
I thought he said something about that.
No.
No, Doodles, you can't just cut them off and go, no. It says that it's a fetish for him. He said it. There's no way to interpret this charitably, in my opinion, because Doodles is such a snake liar. They have to be covering up for this. Or they're presuming right? Or they're trying to basically put themselves in like George's shoes because George is being canceled for something that is his fetish, and I got canceled for liking diapers. So I feel like that might be a thing.
There was no signs of it, at least not in the document.
There was a lot of signs of that in the document, Doodles. You just picked and choose what you didn't want out of the document.
That's kind of my problem a lot with Leo's document.
Or George has something on her? No, I don't think George has anything on her. If, like, again, George is like this pathetic, sad sack of shit. Like, there's no way he has something to dangle over DoodleTones' head. I believe she's working an angle.
It's like, even if we are to believe that George actually did groom Leo, right? Even if he did, there's literally not enough evidence in that document to support such a claim. There's not enough evidence to support such a giant claim like George actually groomed Leo. So it's like, I don't know. The more I keep going back and rereading that document, keep going back and re-looking at that document and processing everything in it. And I'm sitting here going, did we not learn from Spockter?
We're comparing this to Spockter now? I'm losing it. I'm having a mental breakdown. I'm crashing out. I'm keeping it together. I gotta keep it together. Keep it together. Don't crash out. That might have been the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard in my. That's another level of fucking that like actually hurts my brain.
Did we not learn from Madame? Did we not learn from
Madame? Are you serious right now?
From Frick or Slazo or
you can't compare the Slazo shit to this. They compared it to Slazo, dude. No way that they invoke Slazo's name. It's not even the same.
Or Pro Jared? Did we not learn
Pro Jared, no.
From any of this? Or are we just going to blindly take this at face value and that's the end of the
I'm literally in shock that they use Slazo and Pro Jared for this. I can't.
Conversation? George just leaves the internet. We don't talk to George ever again. We drop him as a friend, and that's it. Like, is that really what we're supposed to do at this point?
Yes, that's exactly what you do. You know what like is called like self-preservation. When somebody is so burnt publicly, if there is evidence so damning against them, there's nothing you could do. You just let them crash and burn. That's their fucking problem at that point. You should not get involved because you're emotionally invested and you're going to fuck up.
Like, I don't even necessarily think Leo's being malicious in this document.
Which one is it? A few minutes ago, you were basically being like, well, Leo's really kind of making things out worse than they really are, which implies maliciousness. Now you're saying that Leo isn't being malicious. Which one is it, you stupid bitch?
The more that I read it, I don't think Leo is.
Was this a playbook back then? I know, because Slazo is a good example of somebody that was wrongfully fucking terminated or wrongfully fucking canceled. Come to find out he did nothing wrong. But, like, this is not the same.
Malicious. I think Leo is overblowing, but I don't think it's malicious. But with that said, I don't think George is inherently guilty of all these things that was being said.
You're an idiot. You're actually a dipshit. Like, I don't know how you read that document and didn't go, yeah, he's fucked.
Yeah.
This dude gives no pushback. Poo-poo, stinky. I can't believe I said that. This motherfucker right here is a pussy. Right here. This guy. He's a massive pussy with no pushback on how retarded that sounded. Nobody pushed back on that.
I'm just gonna say I pretty much disagree with a lot of that.
Oh! I'm so sorry. I'm sorry, poo-poo, stinky. You're actually pushing back on that? I'm sorry. I jumped to a conclusion. I paused Andy'd you, brother. Be my voice in 2019.
I don't even want to, like, argue with that right now.
Okay, now you're a pussy again. I don't agree with it, but I don't feel like arguing it. Now you're a pussy again.
But I don't agree. I mean...
That's fine. If you don't agree, if you think George is guilty, I'm not here to change anyone's mind. Because at the
Yes, you are, because 2 years later, you made a video trying to defend him.
end of the day, I don't know all of the situation. But I think...
Then why the fuck are you talking about it? If you don't know shit about it, you shut the fuck up.
That's also a problem. The fact that we don't know all of the situation. The fact that we have to look at a document with so little actual stating evidence to the
It's almost like George wiped his DMs.
point where we have to see George as like this pressuring individual that groomed a child. I think, personally, if this did happen, like, whether or not George is guilty,
Here's the word if. You hear that? You hear the emphasis on if George did this, if George lied, if George did these things.
As I said, I don't know. George may be totally guilty in all of this. You know, George Raccoon might have been a groomer. I don't know.
Then why are you talking on it? Why are you speaking on it like you have some form of authority in this fucking call, Doodles?
But I feel like Leo's document doesn't make that case enough. I feel like Leo's document doesn't sell me on that idea. And
I don't believe that because you were in DMs with George and others trying to like get information. How didn't you put 2 and 2 together?
so many people jumped to just assuming that George was in the wrong out the gate. That's my problem. That's what I think we failed at.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Why are you defending it so hard, like you're personally being attacked about the situation? Because DoodleTones sees his kindred spirit in George. That's why. That's really the best take I can give on that. It's like they're doing it because they see the same things that happen to them, but in George. That's a little crazy, Doodles, that you're seeing some kinship in George. Lost of the World for 5. The ACC has a bit of a habit of protecting those in their community that are like them. They didn't think they were wrong, so my friend isn't wrong.
And the more that I look at that document, the less it makes sense.
Does anyone want to talk about My Hero Academia?
What do I even have to say about that?
Yes, I might be covering the George situation in a video.
Okay.
Might. I might.
The autism is just like off the fucking charts with what I just heard.
If nothing else, I'll have a document written on it.
It's cool. Well, that's something. I can't wait for the Doug Walker review to come out.
Yeah, that's gonna in brighter news. That's gonna come out after the stream.
Hey, you leave Doug alone. He fucked up during that guy with the glasses. I agree with all the criticisms back then, but you leave Doug alone.
Probably.
I can't wait until it just runs a giant bandwagon and then it just dies 2 seconds after.
Oh, this dude's take totally failed. Man, I can't wait for this giant bandwagon to happen, and then 2 minutes later, it'll just go away. Oh, sweet summer child, Steve Unclad Continuous? I don't know what the hell your fucking name is. Your take is so bad.
To become bandwagon.
Yeah.
I'm hoping this actually just changes content on the channel, though, to be honest. Then I don't want it.
He thinks to this he's
Why is this so
Probably like, I don't
laggy?
care.
Why is this video so laggy?
I'm making money off the video anyways. For you.
I don't care. I'm making money off of the video anyways. Interesting.
Well, I really wish we could somehow watch it without giving them a review at the same time, because that would be like the best thing ever. No, actually, there's a way to do that. Just downloading the video.
Is there anything else in this call? Is
on
DoodleTones gonna
Twitter.
speak? I don't care.
About the situation.
Oh, here.
I've gotten-
Okay. The tard, stop talking.
Around on Twitter.
The reason it's gotten silent is because I've gotten to the point where I'm like trying to calm down. Like,
Calm down. You're not being accused of these things, Doodles. Why are you freaking out?
as I said, I've been it's like as I said earlier, I've been like thinking about the situation, looking at it all week with just nothing making sense.
Because you see yourself in it, Doodles, and you're trying to understand yourself. The problem is that who you are is a lying piece of human trash that nobody likes, and you're going to continuously be A-logged to the day that you die because you're a degenerate freak.
I've been actually losing sleep over this situation, so I'm a
I've been losing sleep. Dude, imagine losing sleep over a drama that isn't yours. Holy shit, how pathetic are you? That's not even your drama. You're not the one going through it. How are you losing sleep?
I'm a little easily set off by how everything, you know.
I'm a little easily set off. Let me guess. PTSD. It's PTSD about the Medicare stuff. That's going to be your example.
Unraveled in
Recording was weird because, as you see near the end, Susie Rage quit the stream and later deleted it, so I was to rush to record. No. You're cool. You're cool, bro.
in the George situation earlier this week, because I think people went about it wrong. I think the document that initially, you know, made the claims not good, and I just hated how everyone was so quick to cut George off.
That's because you're seeing yourself. Again, I'm going to repeat myself. You see yourself in him, Doodles. You and him are kindred spirits.
I'll talk about the Blizzard situation or no?
Literally, there's nothing I can say about the Blizzard situation. The reason being, my thing with the
Video game? I don't know what you're talking about.
okay, I may or may not have gotten a message from Channel Gray saying that I victim blamed Leo when.
Oh! Shout out Channel Gray, dude!
Oh, it's not at all what I did, Charlie. But thanks for straw manning.
Oh, Charlie the pedophile. Sorry about that. I didn't mean to say. I didn't mean to hype that guy up. That's
I
Charlie.
victim blamed Leo when. No, it's not at all what I did, Charlie. But thanks for straw manning. If you're out there watching this, thanks for straw manning. I have.
There's no straw manning. Like listen, a pedophile was right. That's like the craziest part. You know what's crazy? A pedophile can suss out their own. It's like telekinesis.
Appreciate that.
What was
Get
that?
fucked.
Oh, get fucked!
Thanos him. Get on the Infinity Gauntlet. Just get the Infinity
Oh
Gauntlet.
no, I tried messaging, but I'm blocked now. I appreciate that though. Thanks for not trying to get clarification to what I'm trying to say.
No, you just sound like an idiot, and people have the right to call you a retard for it, Doodles.
Really appreciate that. That's great.
Ooh, sounds so mad.
All right, I'm done. Thanks for watching the stream, everyone. We're gone. We're done. I'm about to fucking. I'm really
What?
about to fucking pitch a bitch.
Pitch a bitch.
I'm about to fucking destroy so much.
Wow, that's actually kind of crazy. That sounds pretty vindictive, no, chat? That sounds pretty vindictive.
Malicious. The first one shows George sharing the Dakota chair trick performed by David Copperfield before presumably going on to talk about the Snow White dress he bought for himself. By the way,
That was pretty vindictive, chat. No wonder Jar learned his vindictive nature through Doodles.
cross-dressing in the way George was doing so is also not proof of George doing it to be sexual. Just should get that out of the way. If he finds
Don't forget to pass that to Beckett as well. Yeah, I'll have to, because it's fucking insanity. Yeah, W. Fenrir for the clip. Is that how you pronounce your name? I don't really know, bro. I don't really know, dude. Hold on. I do have to send that to Beckett, because he's gonna ask.
the dress to be more aesthetically appealing, then it's just George not having an issue with cross-dressing. If you want to make an argument otherwise, you're going to have to provide me with some proof that he does find Snow White dresses to be sexual, because I just...
I'm so sorry. Proof? Dude, the proof is him saying it's a fetish. What is a fetish? It's a sexual act. It's a thing that they're into sexually. That is a fetish. I'm so sorry. Like, I'm so fucking sorry that you can't like quantify that in your fucking head. That is why it's called a fetish.
just don't have any reason to believe otherwise besides a because Leo and Gwen said so.
Ah yes, an informing pedophile. Fuck off, Doodle. I know I had made this point previously and said how Doodle left out the part of the magic trick in that part of the video, but yen, she's talking about it here, so what gives? It is intrinsically linking the Snow White dress and Horace's known kink, and I think DoodleTones knows this, thus trying to separate it in this video, because, and I'm gonna be blunt, people in these spaces can seemingly use the same piece of evidence to invalidate an overarching pattern of behavior, and so Doodle wanted to paint it as Horace simply cross-dressing, and I hate to be political for a second.
Oh, that's not cross-dressing. I'm sorry. That's called AGP. You know what I mean? Boblax? 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 Bobby? AGP?
But I think this was on
Sorry, I just had like a whole fit there.
purpose, given Doodle's audience being LGBTQ+, and anyone who would question this argument would be labeled as a transphobe, which
True! Holy shit, Yen is so right.
is morally disgusting in my opinion. To finalize this particular point, I will break it
Don't Google what AGP means.
down. The kink is magic tricks. Horace is wearing the Snow White dress when looking at his kink, something that arouses him, and then shares all this information with a minor he wants also to dress up as Snow White and take an interest in his magic trick kink. This is blatant grooming, Doodle. DoodleTones would make a defense on their perception of kinks in one of the SCC courthouse calls where this video was first challenged.
Susie, you spent
Oh, okay. Did I miss this when we were listening to the call?
time in fetish groups because you were fascinated by the concept.
Thank you for the $4.99. Fetishes by definition, typically non-sexual things turning people on. Yes. Also, we hit a goal.
I know there's nothing I can say that will convince you that this is fucking extortion!
Thank you so much for letting us hit the goal. Now we just need 20 more members and we'll get another extortion goal.
How did you not know better?
Because, admittedly, George's kink is quite weird, and I didn't think it was
George's kink is weird. Yeah, it is, but you are into diapers. Like, you can't call anyone weird, Doodles.
very... Because it's not... Like, if he didn't call it a kink, it would be entirely harmless.
But he called it a kink. He brings up the fact that he enjoys it in a sexual nature.
And as I've talked to you about in the past, Lio, I have a very weird perspective on fetishes. So, like,
Yes, because you're a degenerate. It's not a weird perspective. It's because your brain was raped by the internet, and you think it's okay that this shit happens because, well, everyone on the internet did it, so I don't have a problem with it. It's because your brain is warped. It's because you are mentally raped. That is your problem, Doodles.
like on fetishes and kinks in general, I don't think they necessarily have to be sexual.
That is the dumbest fucking thing. I've ever heard in my entire life. Yeah, fetish doesn't inherently have to be sexual. What are you talking about? It's a kink. It's a fetish. It turns them on.
We've had this conversation before.
We have, but he's made it pretty clear it was.
By its very definition, and I will use an actual definition here, unlike Doodle, who's used
Oh God, the definition of doxing is...
GPT before when making a definition argument. A kink is something sexual and outright stated by George as a kink. But let's talk for a second on Susie's take on kinks. In 2015, when DoodleTones was 18 years old, they posted this character sheet on DeviantArt. Important things to note here is...
I'm sorry, I got flashbanged by this again. We did bring this up on stream, but I never, it was never going to be a clip. It was just pulled up randomly.
The character in question was aged at 6 years old, and specifically marked as a character for a fetish RP.
Wood chipper, wood chipper. Wood chipper, wood chipper, wood chipper, wood chipper, wood chipper, wood chipper, wood chipper.
Noting that her brain is 18 years old? What? So no, Doodle, from everything you have shown online, including your own experience with kinks such as DDLG, diaper fetish, age regression, and full-on pedophilic characters for you to fulfill your sexual degeneracy on, you have failed to list one instance where a kink isn't sexual, and every instance you have tried to say otherwise is to simply try and cover yourself from some heat from—
You know what's crazy, guys? You know what's crazy is that there's gonna be a leftist streamer or YouTube creator out there that's one day gonna make a video on me, and they're like, Chris wants to kill all pedophiles. That's really dangerous. And I'm just gonna be like, yeah, and wood chippers for all, baby.
From your detractors. No wonder you have no issue with what George has been doing given your own degeneracy.
So based, yeah, and so true.
The second screenshot was just George talking about how he did draw Leo's character doing the trick, but never actually showed it
When I first saw my question, if it was really believe that, then when you talk to kids like this.
to Leo, nor did Leo really call George out on being uncomfortable about it.
Horace has now finalized my previous point where he has now placed Leo in his sexual desires by drawing him in the magic trick. This is Horace's own admission. Just because he didn't show it—
Let's just read this. So the one drawing I did but never completed was a step-by-step drawing of your OC vanishing from the Dakota chair. It had him covered up with a cloth, the final part in the empty chair. The kink.
doesn't make it any less valuable as a—
Yeah, imagine Ethan is online, finally gets off his ass and tries to pick a fight with commentary channels again. And Ethan just has a clip of me chanting, wood chipper! I would kill if somebody ever makes an expose video on me. I genuinely want them to use me chanting wood chipper like that, like a maniac. I want you to open your expose video with that.
a piece of proof.
Prefaced by Leo continuing the narrative of just because George feels
I'll just laugh. I'll just literally I'll just cry laughing.
guilty about things means you can't draw boundaries, apparently, as evidenced by the following statements. I did watch them all, but only because I felt pressured to. Maybe it would have been easy for you to say no, but I can't do that. I can't shut someone down like that, especially not someone like George, who practically lives by the philosophy of don't call me out of my bullshit, because I will beat myself up until you feel like a monster and drop the charges.
Which is essentially what happened. All of these messages that we found from Cloud Palace shows that he's that kind of person. Kink/BDSM is a subculture, so it's a non-sexual aspects too, but I'm not saying we. Kinksters set extremely explicit boundaries and definitions to prevent crossover. Okay. For me, what the fuck what is this gay shit? What is this? Commentaries are intended to critique situation behaviors based on previous unexplored perspective and demonstrate the wrongdoing. Oh, that's fun, Ace.
I can't believe this needs saying, but it is not the responsibility of a child to draw a boundary with an adult. That responsibility entirely is on the adult in the situation.
Yes, Yen! Yes!
Every single time. If we are saying that every single time that a child gets groomed and they don't draw up boundaries or fight the grooming that is taking place, that somehow means that it's not grooming, apparently.
Yeah, according to Doodles, that's not grooming. Something I unfortunately know from my regrettable Tumblr days, non-sexual kinks are something that these people unironically believe in. Yeah, that's stupid.
I've done this multiple times. Looking back on it now, I can only really just...
It's like looking at a radiator pipe and going, damn, that's looking good right now. You know, what the fuck?
Enforcing his kink.
How I don't get how these people weren't bullied religiously on the internet forever. I don't know why it stopped. I don't know why we stopped bullying people like that. You know what I mean?
Call me. We'll talk about his motivations another time, but that is what he is doing. Which only really reaffirms that this was a document that had more of a narrative woven into it, more than just informing people of what happened.
This may sound like a lesser point given the communities that we're all in, but I'll build on it later. However, Doodles saying there's a narrative woven into the document is a subtle and incorrect use of the word narrative.
It's not subtle. It's obvious. They're using that word to make it sound like that George was getting a raw deal. That was on purpose.
Everything we say is a narrative when it comes from our own personal experience of how events transpire, including this document, and some of you may have realized at this point, Doodle is trying to do the things she's claiming the document does and twist the narrative of the situation. From my own looking at the document, there is nothing but factual information pertaining to George, even stuff DoodleTones have verified, like his consistent outbursts. And even when screenshots are used in the document and Leo explains the context behind them below, it isn't malicious. It isn't twisting anything we don't see or is confirmed. Hell, we don't see the Skype messages, and yet Doodle doesn't question the fact George had been told to not draw Leo in the Snow White dress. It is simply using verbiage and is it actually though argumentation to twist and alter a narrative to suit Doodle's favor, given their own personal vested interest in having these allegations cleared from George.
Oh shit, I forgot about this. I'm gonna see if I can I do this? Can I add a new membership badge for everybody, or am I stupid? I feel like I'm stupid. Every time I try to do this membership badge thing, I'm like, I keep fucking it up somehow because nobody sends me the right ratio for this thing. It's fucking annoying. Ah! Hold up. Wait a minute. I realized that DoodleTones was trying to social engineer the community. Really? You just noticed that? It was struggling.
Due to her long-standing relationship with him.
By now at this point, you might be wondering what my point is bringing all this stuff up, as it looks like I'm trying to make Leo out to be this worse individual than he is.
Which you did. You did. You attempted to make Leo worse than what they really were.
And that would be a fair assumption to make, especially with just how frustrated I've been getting at this document.
What's up, Barbie?
However, to clear the air, I'm not saying Leo is doing any of this stuff on purpose. This feels more impulsive than vindictive. Reading the document as much as I have, you can tell he felt very emotional writing it. If this is truly how he felt on the matter, then...
Okay, obviously it was emotionally written. No shit. Every Google document's emotionally written. Like what point is that? It's like, yeah, this is an emotional situation that they went through.
Fine. I'm not going to invalidate someone's feelings on the matter because I can't...
No, but you're going to invalidate the entire story by saying that there was a narrative crafted against George to, like, fuck him over.
Feasibly know how he actually felt.
Well, I'm so sorry a victim felt emotional, Doodle. I'm sorry that upsets you so much and somehow invalidates screenshots and their feelings.
My point, ultimately, at the end of the day, is that I don't feel as if George is a groomer. There's just not enough evidence to label him as such. Grooming is a targeted, manipulative action used to get something out of a minor, but nothing we see in the screenshots Leo shows demonstrate any form...
He was getting something out of the minor. He was getting them to be involved in their fetish. That is what he's getting out of it. He's getting somebody to be engaged with it, to dress up in the dresses that he likes, to be a part of the magic trick fetish and kink that he likes. That is getting something from that.
...form of attempted sexual or financial satisfaction on George's...
Lago, Vert, and Chris collab when? I don't know. If he wants me in a video, I'll fucking do it. I like his videos.
I must be fair and reiterate that yes.
I'm still mad at Lago for, like, not putting in the debate that me and Beckett had with supposedly Dan Burst's ex-boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever the fuck that thing was.
Leo could have been very uncomfortable by everything the two of them talked about. George could have been very inappropriate, and yes, he was absolutely irresponsible.
I know Lago's in the chat right now. He stops by. I like Lago.
I'm not saying he did nothing wrong. I just don't see a groomer here. And I feel as if there were people who kind of saw it too quickly. When finally confronted...
I think Lago could have put it in the video because I basically told the guy to kill himself and, like, started saying crazy shit, which I think that's why nobody uses my clips, is because I say such crazy shit it's not worth editing to people.
George ended the final conversation...
Which is funny to me. I fucking love that.
...with Leo, admitting to his mistakes, and fessing up to the fact that he didn't know these
I do wish I touched more of the other guys around Dan Lamau. There's a lot of them.
...conversations with Leo made Leo uncomfortable. He asked what he could do to make things better besides not grooming, showing that the accusation was something he even believed. And personally, this is my least favorite part of Leo's document. George was apologizing for everything that Leo had taken issue with. Sure, George's apology was self-destructive. As I said, he did have a habit of doing that. However,
it doesn't matter. I'm sorry. It doesn't matter that he had a pattern of self-destruction. He engaged with it. He knew the age of the person before they turned 16 when they did the drawing of the fetish artwork and offered to do it for them when they were a kid. I'm sorry, Doodles. That doesn't change anything.
George also, at the end of the day, understood that the two of them needed time apart. Why was this looked at as a groomer trying to get with a child? Like, George couldn't have known that these conversations were uncomfortable or were seen as inappropriate until Leo told him, because, as stated before, there were no...
Hold on, Beckett now just saw it.
...boundaries drawn between the two of them.
I think you're forgetting that Horace was a public figure and had a lot to lose if this ever became public.
Aren't I glad I had a normal childhood? Yeah, I enjoyed, you know, going to school, doing sports, hanging out with friends, you know, having, like, setting up parties in college, you know, like normal people shit. Like, I really enjoy, like, the normie lifestyle. Actually, it's definitely one of my favorites. I'm really glad I had no association with this shit growing up.
Definitely separated from Leo in order to get heat off of him.
That's literally their argument. DoodleTones' argument is basically they didn't say no hard enough. Yep, that's literally what DoodleTones has done this entire video, but saying that they aren't trying to downplay it.
And make himself look like a responsible person. He had been caught, and the only thing he could do now was run away.
Once there finally were, George apologized and then the two of them unfollowed each other's vents, breaking off the friendship with each other. This
So them breaking, like no longer being friends somehow just makes it okay?
is just not the behavior of a manipulative person. Leo's confusion in this document too is honest to God justified because George saying that he didn't know what he was doing was wrong and apologizing for grooming are two totally contradictory ideas. Because grooming is intentional. Like, yes, you could say George is admitting to grooming here and is apologizing for something.
He's just covering his ass. It's obvious he's covering his ass because he knew the age of that person. He knew it was wrong. He knew it was a fetish. It's over. There's no conversation. Like, zero. None. He knew it.
But, like, I don't believe that George would have seen it as such had Leo not initially brought it up.
You know what's crazy? You know, in the back of my head, what's just, like, wiggling back there is, like, this is the same cope that people made about Zero.
Their conversation. Neither
how could he have possibly known? He grew up in Chile. The age of consent there is 14. It's just something that happens, you know?
of them were even sure that this was the case. It was just something that someone else said was grooming.
I want to point out that Gwen, also known as Saf, is a victim of George. Also in this instance,
Zero? Oh, you have so much to learn.
the morals of the person making the document can sure be brought into question. However, it does not push away the actual evidence and invalidate the evidence put forward.
Ugh.
Yes,
At the end of the day, to recap, do I think George groomed Leo? No.
Then you're a moron.
Do I think George was irresponsible? Absolutely. Do I think this document does its job properly? No. Do I think Leo should have drawn boundaries with George sooner? Yes. Do I think Leo
I'm so tired of the drawing boundaries line. I've heard it so many times.
was a bad person? No. Do I believe Leo was a victim? Well, personally speaking,
You hear the tiptoe? I love that. I love how they do the tiptoed voice. Where they're like, well, like, I don't think that they're really a victim, but she's too afraid to commit to the words, I don't think they're a victim. Too terrified.
yes. That last one might be a bit of a confusing statement to make, what with everything I outlined today, but if you'll allow me, I have been thinking about this document a lot, and as I said earlier, I don't believe Leo wrote this document with the goal to purposely ruin George's friendships or reputation in the community.
Why the fuck am I seeing a tweet by Stardust talking about how her father was a piece of shit and that he was a terrible deadbeat dad? Like, why are you tweeting this out? Oh my god, Stardust, you're so fucking stupid. It's like actually aggravating.
Community. The language used within this document seems more
Sorry, yeah, I literally just saw the tweet and like I'm like why are you doing this to yourself?
concerned and scared than anything else, almost as if somebody else implanted the belief that this behavior was grooming.
You're an idiot, Star.
And we know that there is, considering Gwen's reaction to George drawing people in Snow White dresses.
The narrative that the idea of grooming was implanted is foul. You are doing the opposite end of the spectrum in this video by claiming
Put it on the screen? No. Go find it on Twitter.
something isn't grooming.
We're not talking about Stardust today.
When everything so far would prove otherwise. It is not.
I just saw it on my side screen because I have Twitter pulled up sometimes where I'm like scrolling through if things like come in, like I'll grab them and like throw it up here. But like I just saw the dumbest tweet of my life.
A minor's responsibility to draw boundaries with an adult. You are literally putting it on Leo to do that, Doodle. The rest of this video is Doodle speculating on if Charlie or Gwen, people in the document, was manipulating Leo into thinking they were being groomed, which has absolutely no basis, and given its speculation, I won't be including it. However, it has recently this year been learned that Gwen, also known as Saf, was a victim of George, and Doodle's complete disregard or willingness to speak to them at the time of this video being made meant that they were ostracized and not even considered as someone who would be a victim. This is even evident in the
That's interesting. I didn't know that part.
Comment section of the video, where when Saf tried to explain further,
probably because she's wrapping up his estate, smart, no. I really believe that if you have familial issues, you should not speak about them on the internet for people to exploit and then get pissed when people talk about it and then continue to fight with people about it. I think you're a fucking idiot if you do that.
They were met with dismissing remarks from people in the SCC in the replies, as seen here, allowing
I'm curious, like, what
to explain further. They were met with.
I wasn't going to comment and touch this video, but I am mentioned directly, so I at least want to give my 2 cents as part of the video, at least to clear the air in this regard. Yes, absolutely. I did speak to Leo about the situation when it was occurring. I've spoken publicly before about the situation occurring that George has done similar stuff in the vein he did to Leo, to me back when I was 16, as well as my partner at the time. I noticed it and told Leo that it was not okay for him to be doing for him to be doing if he got some kind of arousal out of it, no more, no less. Now to speak on the Charlie segment of the video, I will definitely say that Charlie, whether or not they had good intentions in their own mind, definitely made the situation a lot more hostile and heated than it needed to be. No, it was definitely heated enough. All of us can admit that they had a serious bad habit of snapping at people, and yes, absolutely a bad history of doing it towards George specifically. This is especially bad with the information that later did come out about Charlie, so it does indicate a sense of twisted motivation from their perspective. No, it's just a pedophile felt the presence of another pedophile. That's usually how it works. Again, it's like hive mind, you know, all the pedos have a hive mind. And to just speak about the boundaries slightly, the whole thing with George asking Leo to wear a dress and send pictures should have been a no-brainer not to do. Since Leo does identify as trans mask, I don't know what that means because I'm a straight white guy and I don't care. And had it made clear on the vent that George followed at the time that stuff like that triggered very heavy dysphoria, and that was absolutely immaturity and uncaring on George's part. Was I mad about what George was doing? Absolutely. Did I have some kind of ulterior motive? No. Did Charlie? I can't say for sure, again, to go back to the examples you brought up, generally knowing that how they usually had some kind of end game in mind. Obviously, can't speak for them since I refuse to speak to them ever again, but that's my own 2 cents. That's about all I've got to say, really. Not going to comment on the rest of the video because at the end of the day, it's not really my place to speak on someone else's trauma. Shut up.
With dismissing remarks from people in the SCC in the replies, as seen here, allowing for the SCC's tribalism to continue and pushing them into the arms.
Is that? No, that's not him.
Of Vivian, also known as Charlie, who would also later be outed as a groomer and abuser. But all in all, somehow, this video got good reception by the community and those around it.
Because it's team sports.
But to move forward with the effect of this video, we have to go back to the backlash that Susie got in 2019 from their stream, and how in the 2 years between 2019 and 2021, they went around the community warming people up.
Why do these people overshare shit online? I don't know, dude. Like, I got bored one day and was watching LOLcow Live, which is like the dumbest thing I can do because I really apparently hate my brain cells. And there were people like donating, I'm getting divorced tomorrow. Oh, my life sucks. Here's $100, Keemstar. And I'm just sitting there going, why the fuck are you telling people this?
Up to the idea of horror snuff.
It's like there's some inherent need on the internet to share all the stupid shit that you do, you know?
Being a bad person.
Or that like you're going through, like anyone actually gives a fuck.
Preparation for their 2021 video. For proof of this, we can look at DoodleTones' own DMs with Horace at that time.
I know you didn't intend it, but this image gives me bad memories.
Yeah, sorry about that. If it's any consolation, I fought against what I could at the time, and it's not like everyone hates you. The Cloud Palace just kinda hopes you've been doing okay since then.
Really?
Yeah, I was talking to them about it a few days ago. One person in there in particular would really like to meet you, actually.
Who?
What?
Mansvega Ventanov.
Oh.
Fairly new commentator, I don't know if you've heard of him.
I saw them once in a comment on one of my videos. They said it was fine for me to like Snow White in a comment.
Oh, well yeah, he doesn't seem to have any qualms with that situation. Again, I personally...
Man, whoever that commentator is a fucking retard. It should hopefully not be making commentary videos anymore.
Thought from what I saw, at worst, you were seriously irresponsible with a not safe for work account.
I definitely was. I shouldn't have given it to Leo, Gwen, or Autumn.
It's why I'm keeping in contact. Irresponsibility is a different monster from grooming. And hey, if you started getting help from all of this, it might be a blessing in disguise.
As I have just shown, there are several mentions of Susie trying to get people in the Cloud Palace, DoodleTones' Discord server, to change their mind on the situation around George.
I did not see that, Yen. This is interesting. Is a chat log Doodles and George? Yes. That's interesting because I was not aware of that. All right, I'm just gonna...
George, even leading up to the video's release. And as you have seen in what I've just shown you, there were other people groomed by Horace alongside Leo, those being both Autumn and Saf, those being the ones that were known at the time, but as you will see in Susie's video, there is no incident—
Wait, Yen, are you not going to show the Cloud Palace stuff? Please tell me.
Where these people were named as being victim of Horace, despite Susie knowing about this in 2020. For context, Autumn and Saf were 16 to 17 in 2016 to 2017, which is when Horace drew them both doing the magic trick that's part of Horace's kink, and drew them both in the Snow White dress. Thankfully, we now have access to those Discord DM conversations between those parties. As we can see currently on screen, we can see the DMs that Saf had between them and George.
Oh dear God, what the hell is this? It's too little okay.
Showing George posting the magic trick and drawing them in a Snow White dress. As we can see in Saf's messages, we can clearly see evidence of George drawing the pair, Saf and Autumn, in George's magic trick kink. More specifically, the Dakota chair trick. This is also reflected with Autumn's messages with the same pattern of behavior, even asking have they seen what they posted in their NSFW vent.
No, dude, come on, Doodles.
I would also like to bring up that Susie had access to and used Horace's document as research when doing their video, which also does state within it that Horace drew the miners in the magic trick within the very own document.
So I've made this a few months after my situation happened, and I've mostly kept it to myself.
Not gonna lie, being the primary person who was defending you when that was happening and has been defending your innocence in regards to the grooming allegations themselves.
Whoa! Doodles, in their own words, said that they were actively defending George. It's not. Remember what Doodles was like? I want to take a middle of the road approach about this. Ooh, Doodles. Oh no, we have it in black and white text. They literally said that they were defending them.
Reading this first is definitely a new insight. I will ask, though, if you don't mind, while I know not everything on there was explicitly sexual, why did you let minors on your not safe for work account?
Because I thought they might like the magic videos I've sent them, along with the...
They might like my kink. That, Susie, when you read that, it should be like, wait a minute, he said that was his kink.
potential Snow White drawings. Are you having second thoughts about me?
No, because while I don't...
He literally admitted to you that he wanted people to engage with his kink. He literally said that to you, and you go, you know what? I'm not second guessing this. Oh, what are you talking about?
I don't think you were a groomer. I have been saying you were kind of irresponsible for doing that, but that said, irresponsibility doesn't equal grooming.
Yeah.
So unless there's more to this document that implicates you being more than irresponsible, my opinion probably won't change.
So you only got as far as chapter 1.
Yeah, I'm just now reaching C2.
Also, I need to ask that you don't post it around anywhere.
Alright, you were irresponsible at worst, and Leo's document comes off as super manipulative.
No! So remember what Doodles said in their video? They don't believe that it's manipulative and that they are trying to downplay what Leo went through. They just said to the groomer, Leo's document's manipulative. Wow. Wow. This is so much different than how DoodleTones was portraying it.
These were things I did say in October.
This may sound like I'm drilling a point home, but I really want to emphasize the fact that Susie had a lot...
Why is it that DoodleTones did the exact same shit Jar did? Because Jar learned everything that they could from Doodles.
more information than what they actually include in their final video. Now that I brought up George's own document...
Jar, I know you watch content on the ACC still and drama involving people that you know. Listen, buddy, you learned from the worst person and you picked up the worst habits
that he made in relation to this situation, I think it's important that we show what information Susie didn't include within their own video, given the fact that they had access to this document way before anyone else had it in the SCC, even before it was made public. So without further ado, it's time for a brief detour into George's own document. This document that Susie had access to, mind you,
I'm so curious about the George document now.
and read, does a lot in the way
Our
of...
testimony quite long since it covers the first meeting George, then apologize to him. Saf's statement only covers their Lio's DMs. Okay.
breaking down a lot of the arguments that Doodle made in their video, to an insane degree, given this comes right from the raccoon's mouth. Brushing aside the random additional information of what countries George and Leo live in, George starts by explaining how...
Yeah, so that whole thing of being like, well, they live in this country and I live in this country, so age of consent's different in this country. That's what they're doing. It's the zero argument.
Aside the random additional information of what countries George and Leo live in, George starts by explaining how, and I quote, "Whenever I shared magic tricks with people in a DM, I don't think, man, I want them to be a part of my kink, or man, I want them to have the same kink as me."
That's total bullshit, because you'd be like, do you like this? Do you like this? I like it. I like it a lot. Like, stop.
I typically think to myself, hopefully they'll like this video when I send it to them. This is a flat-out lie, as we have seen from Saf and Autumn's messages alongside Leo's Twitter interactions with George, where he places them all in his kink, which George would even admit to in a document he references in the start of this document with his messages with a member of the SCC named Porkate, alongside this document itself. And I quote, "One drawing I drew of him that was really bad in hindsight was him vanishing in a chair." And I quote, "In hindsight, one of the only aspects I truly did wrong with the account was drawing 3 specific people vanishing in a trick, as that definitely did make me look really bad in hindsight. I'll focus on the one with Leo a little later, but for now, I'm going to focus on the other 2 that I drew vanishing, Gwen and Autumn. Back in 2016, I asked them if they wanted to follow it, and they said yes. At the time, they were dating each other, and so..."
I still don't see how them saying yes means that's okay for you to put them in a not safe for work private Twitter account, but sure.
Not only did I draw...
This is exactly how Pyro justified it. Listen, the Pyro stuff, I'm waiting. I'll be honest with you. I'm waiting first because I know Pyro is going to actually like do a real response. Because Pyro is an idiot and will do it because Pyro cares a lot about his public image.
Drew them in the dress, but I asked them...
So just hold the line, chat. Hold the line. We'll go through that 300-page document and the responses soon.
If they wanted me to draw them in one of the tricks I showed them for their coated...
Genuine question: if they're from 2 different countries, does the age of consent default to whatever the country, the platform they're on, or no? It doesn't. That's not even a remote thing. Across the board on the internet, 18 is like the standard, right? It doesn't matter what country you're in. If you're fucking with somebody under the age of 18, even if the age of consent is 16, you're still going to look like a predator, regardless of what the age of consent is. I'm sorry, it doesn't change anything.
To chat. They eventually said yes, but I had no idea that they felt grossed out. They didn't give me any indication about how they truly felt at that moment. Regardless, it's one of the drawings I don't look back at fondly in general. This ideology of George putting the onus on the victims to show discomfort mirrors the one Doodle uses.
But it's because he weaponizes Doodle's talking points and felt comfortable because somebody that the community looked at as a reasonable voice said those exact words. So George was given an out by DoodleTones. That is why they use that argumentation
in their own video, which leads me to think this ideology is something both of them shared and enabled and was weaponized.
It's either shared and enabled and Doodles like coached them into it, or George saw the reception to said video and used those exact talking points to give himself a buffer to look like a victim. America, believe across internet, crossing state lines. Okay.
In this document and the video, the following is Twitter posts by Saf sharing their experience. Mind you, it doesn't show proof, but again, Doodle never asked George for any of his messages with either Saf or Autumn, reinforcing my belief that Doodle made sure to turn an intentional blind eye to this evidence. A lot of this remaining chapter of the document is George blaming his victims for not showing discomfort, but I will highlight how he states he would have still continued to send them the magic trick kink if they didn't show discomfort. And I quote, "Had Gwen or Autumn not given a negative type of..."
I'm writing a reflections paper of the ethics of my class, and I think there's a level of humor to be doing this assignment while watching this stream. Yeah, that is funny.
Reaction to me, then I would have continued sending them videos and drawings, all while they continue to harbor these extremely judgmental and assumption-heavy thoughts about me.
Whoa, George! Wow, that is a crazy statement. Had Gwen and Autumn not given negative type of reaction to me, then I would have continued sending them videos and drawings, all while they continue harboring these extremely judgmental and assumption-heavy thoughts about me. Way to make yourself look like a victim. Way to make yourself look like a victim, George.
Drawings, all while they continue to harbor these extremely judgmental and assumption.
Real talk, was DoodleTones really seen as a reasonable voice? Yes. The SCC really respected Doodles.
Heavy thoughts about me. End quote. I'm sorry, but how much of a self-victimizing pussy can you be to continue this idea?
True.
Keep in mind, Doodle had no issues with this part of the document. In chapter 2 of the doc, George explains how and why he invited Leo to his NSFW account, bringing up how Saf told him not to draw Leo in the Snow White dress in 2017, but I will point out there is no mention or reasoning stated that he forgot that conversation, which Doodle uses as an argument in their video. But George's amazing explanation in why he added them to the account was because Leo's account was suspended, and the new one showed that they really liked Snow White still, despite George. And because George posted the character a lot on his NSFW account, he invited them there. First off, that makes no sense. Just have a regular account to post those drawings if we use the logic George didn't have a kink for Snow White. But the fact he seemed to post it the most on his NSFW account reinforces my belief it is a kink. And even then, it doesn't explain why he invited Saf or Autumn for remaining chapters. Chapter 3 is a lot of the same, saying how Leo didn't show discomfort, so I'll be skipping over it. I'll be linking the document down below for you guys to check it out for yourself. Chapters 4, 5, and 6 contains people cutting off George slowly before the document came out, being people like Saf, Ray, Donnie, and Leo no longer wanting to follow his NSFW account, and then the community response when the document Leo made was published, and George beating himself up over it. Not really anything worthy of focusing on, but after George locked his accounts, Poor Kate decided to post their DM messages with George in a document I had referenced previously. A thing I will note here is that George in this section does state he never fully read Leo's document, claiming the reason for it
no way
was that he didn't feel comfortable reading a document that labeled him as scum and a child groomer. But if you're planning to make a document...
That's literally cope, yeah, and they read the document. That's obvious cope. They wouldn't have a document prong for prong against Leo in the way that they did, and completely contrarian to Leo's document if they didn't read it. That's a cope. That's them lying.
To clear your name of such...
If you're panicking and you're in a drama like that and you're being accused of something horrible, you're reading everything. It's stupid to assume that they wouldn't.
Claims, surely you need to read the damn document accusing you of such things. Otherwise, how are you meant to dispute all the claims pushed forward against you? More dismissing the victims again and again. Oh, and using how you have high-functioning autism to not read...
I have high-functioning autism. I'm so afraid. I'm a terrible person. My high-functioning autism made me draw these children in this shit. They can't just, own shit, right? They have to, They have to say that they're autistic. They have to say that they're dyslexic. They have to say that they have PTSD. Like, they can't just be like, yeah, I fucked up. It's like, no, I have autism.
Someone's emotion? How lovely. You don't need to read emotion to know the fundamental fact you shouldn't talk to a minor like this. Chapter 7, Document's conclusion. A lot of this conclusion is George crying how betrayed he felt by people he thought he could trust, and ending it off by saying he no longer views Leo as a good person, and the accusations against him were a smear campaign, and then proceeds to list the bullying tactics those people used. And I am sorry, but I can't help but laugh at this here. This is the list of bullying tactics that George lists in his document. I will be going...
Okay. Anytime anyone hears anything about George, just do all of these things. Smear campaign. Actually, don't do that. That's bad. You don't want to do that. False accusation. You actually don't want to do that bad. Blacklist. Absolutely. Gaslight him. Absolutely. Gossip. Absolutely. Humiliation. Absolutely. Isolation. Absolutely. Personal attacks. Calling him a loser. Yeah. Okay. Psychological abuse. Just make him feel like he's murdering his cats. Social exclusion. Yeah, kind of based. Setting up to fail. Wait. I'm sorry. The bullying tactic was set up to fail. Is George trying to imply within this list that these kids coordinated a cancellation attempt on him by setting up to fail? Cyberbullying based. Mobbing. Like, was he getting, like, beaten up in the street? Like, the fuck's going on here?
Through them one by one. Smear campaign. People talking about their experiences. False accusations. Documented evidence. Blacklisting. Not wanting a groomer in their circles. Gaslighting. Proof? Gossip.
I'm not going to say that, Lago.
Talking about the accusations. Humiliation. Laughing at disgusting child groomer. Isolation. Again, kicking them out of their circles. Personal attacks. Making fun of a disgusting person. Psychological abuse. I think it's just the SCC mind control at this point. Social exclusion. Kicked out. Setting up to fail? No, you did that when you started talking to minors about your kinks. Cyberbullying, log off, mobbing. How? And that was the very long and painful George document. My thought on it is the same I have felt up until this point, and that is how pathetic and self-aware I think George is. They continue to cry victim when they were the one grooming minors online, spending a lot of this document saying that what he did was bad, but ending it with, boo-hoo, look how harassed I was. And back to the DMs we go. Returning back to the DMs from where we last led off, we can see that Susie describes Leo's document as manipulative, which is insane, and really goes to show their ideology when they were making their video.
Oh.
Doesn't show the ideology. It straight up proves the fact that they were definitely sweeping for this person. It's not even an ideological thing. It's literally what they were doing. Like, they had an idea in their head that they were going to say, fuck it, I'm defending George. I'm going to wait 2 years and then put out this video and look like the guy that saves somebody, which is what Jar does.
By the way,
You're drawing, no matter how awful done they are, take time. Drawing someone involved in your obvious cake isn't a mistake. Yes, it is entirely intentional. Very true, Lost.
did happen to find a comment he left you in your confession videos where he says you're victim.
It's a Cyrax excuse. Yes, yes. That is a Cyrax excuse.
Blaming by defending me.
Well, I did say it was sort of Leo's fault initially, which...
What George needs to do now is he needs to put out a diss track with a samurai mask on. Then he'll truly be Cyrax.
Victim or no, it doesn't look good on me at all. So that was a mistake on my part.
Ah, it's definitely more accurate to say that we both screwed up in different ways. At least that's how I see it.
I do agree, but saying it like I did wasn't tactful.
As I've just shown you, we can see another reference to Susie's 2019 stream, and how Doodles saying her victim blaming made her look bad. Ah yes, because your precious public image is the main issue here, and Doodle goes on to agree that it was partly Leo's fault. You are quite literally still blaming the victim.
Look, when Leo sits there and says something along the lines of Snow White dresses are his kink and he will deny it, so don't believe him, effectively shutting out any further discussion, yeah.
Well, to be honest, it's on his not safe for work account. Like, it's there. It's like, this is a kink for me. There is no additional conversation to be had there. Thank you for the 2. How long until George pulls out a ukulele? I don't know. Hopefully he'll beat himself to death with it.
Yeah, no, I was not on his side. I definitely shouldn't have blamed him for when we had less info. However, I have still stuck to my guns. I was manipulative, and I didn't see any evidence of you grooming.
You were manipulative?
Oh, no.
Freudian slip!
Sorry, XD, it was manipulative. Typo.
And also, I don't
Freudian slip!
think this was a typo given all we know now, more so a Freudian slip. The following screenshots is more proof of Susie trying to warm people back up to the idea of George being let back into the community in preparation for their 2021 video. In these DMs there's also reference of them talking to people in the Cloud Palace in order to warm them back up to the idea of George coming back, and overall hint at
No way. Hey George, are you still in contact with George? Yeah, he on occasion still sends me Twitter pics. Is it possible I can get in contact with him, want to hear his side of things, and apologize for my lack of action? Oh my god! I did not know that that was in the Cloud Palace, that the Cloud Palace people were trying to find justifications to bring George back. That's interesting.
Manipulative pattern of behavior that Susie is trying to do in order to get George back into these spaces, and also in turn in the same spaces as his victims, which we now know through hindsight was very—
Oh, this is interesting. I have something from the Cloud Palace that was just found in regard to George and Horace. Let's read this from a deleted user in the Discord server. I don't know who this is, but this is in the Cloud Palace. Vivian was the one who published Leo's doc in his behalf. Vivian, George, go see chemical castration. This is Charlie, the pedophile. Also, Vivian, I'm going to go rape Donnie because I want to. Ray, George, you're a whack and gross pedophile. Also, Ray, I'm sexually assaulting Anthony, sexually harassing Habit, and I have sexual thoughts about Leo when he was a minor because I want to. The more I think about my situation, the worse it gets. Can't believe that Horace is the SCC's hopeless peaches. What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? What are you saying about hopeless peaches there, deleted user? That's what is that? What do you mean by that? That might be Avi. If it's Avi, he could kill himself, but like that's interesting, no?
very effective after Susie released their George video, letting George come back into the SCC spaces.
Wait, deleted user is actually Heaton? I don't think it's Heaton.
And causing his—
That's Susie? No way! That's Susie? The deleted user is Susie. Because I see Autumn in here. That's Susie? Oh, Doodles, what did you mean by this now? What did you mean by this, Doodles? What do you mean by that? Holy shit!
Own victims to apologize to him. Congratulations, DoodleTones, you effectively defended a predator, letting them back into your spaces and communities where other people could be affected by them, and had his own victims apologize to them and thinking they were in the wrong for being groomed. Something we all—
You take the moon and you take the sun. You suicide bait everyone for fun. You ask Lyle for $8,000.
know that if you had learned that someone—
I'm gonna write like a whole song one day, just doing the Chowder intro. You know what? I need to learn how to animate. I need to learn how to animate or like edit well so I can make like a music video of like the Chowder theme song, but it's all about hopeless peaches.
else had done this, you would have beaten them to death in a screaming match. And yes, you heard that right. Both Saf and Autumn felt obligated to apologize to George, as seen here. Now, after speaking with both Autumn and Saf, I do have their statements here, and I will be playing them in order.
I'm just gonna kind of go—
Not what I'm right here, shaking my head. You gotta write like a whole you gotta do a whole 2-minute song.
off the cuff here and see where that goes. This lasted about 2-ish years, not even that. Like, it was maybe like a year, and it was by far way shorter than most experiences I've had online. When it came to adults trying to take advantage of me. But I think it's still important to note this story anyway. So I joined the commentary community when I was freshly 16 and—
Okay, please, can we please stop saying the words freshly age? I'm so tired of hearing that. Not to devalue you, Autumn, but stop it. Stop calling it freshly whatever age. Stop it, please. I have been ruined by that stupid allegation where the girl was like, I was freshly 18. And it's like, shut up.
June of 2016.
Yeah, I'm freshly 29.
I
like, fuck off. I'm sorry.
met George.
No, I'm not devaluing Autumn's experience. Okay, I just hate the words freshly. Insert number.
Through a Skype group that a person known as Ray Kohai had, and it had like maybe 50 people in there. It was a very large group of people, and very active because of that. And I met George, and who we will now know as Amity, through there. I would start getting acquainted with everybody, and I would join the commentary group known as Fox afterwards.
There's so many interconnecting stories. It's just fucking insane, man.
And that's kind of where my friendship with George started, and as well I would start dating Amity later on, a couple months later. We started doing a lot of things together as a couple afterwards. We also had
I'm sorry, I just read something that I was just like, what the fuck? I'm not showing that.
Private Twitter.
Dude, I don't know what the A-loggers in the Cloud Palace have been finding, but I just saw something that made my fucking— I had to snap my head back real quick.
Accounts for like almost everybody in that group, and we'd all follow each other on there instead of— well, honestly on top of the Discord chats that we'd have later on where we had vent channels. But primarily we would have a lot of people follow each other's vent accounts back in the day. I was following George's private account because he had one that was just for venting, and I would also follow Amity's, obviously. And eventually we were both invited to another account, George.
Thank you for the 3 months Diddy Toad's baby oil after party tonight. I'm not invited. DoodleTones wouldn't invite me to that, nor would I want to.
Chad, that was explicitly called his NSFW Twitter account. This was a...
Oh, I'm so sorry, Autumn. Excuse me. According to DoodleTones, it's not safe for work-ish.
Account.
You got it wrong. I still can't believe that's the argument.
Where he would post a lot of his fetishes and his, more so kind of like more...
My bad, lol.
Private vent. It was a place where people that he trusted more would be. And Amity and I were two of those people. And we were still allowed on. I didn't think too much about it at the time.
$2, freshly empowered dynamic, make me scream. I'm tired of hearing those two terms.
I thought it was fine. I should also note that there was also a pinned tweet on that account that explicitly said two particular things on there. One of them was a note of a certain magic trick that he liked that turned him on sexually, and the other was how he just liked drawing people in the Snow White dress. And on top of that, apparently was not gonna retweet like explicit porn or nudity on that account. So Amity and I were approached by George.
Yeah, try use the ish in court and see where that goes. I would kill for like an actual lawyer. Like a real lawyer, not like a Nick Reicada lawyer or like a fucking legal mindset person, right? Like I want a real lawyer. I want them to sit down and like go through all of like the legal bullshit that would happen if these videos were used in court to like show innocence. I would love to see that. I would love to see an actual lawyer dip his toes into this fucking community.
At the same time, if he could draw us...
What's wrong with legal mindset? I don't know. I got a vibe off of them. And usually my vibes are right.
Depicted in...
I just have a vibe, chat, okay? You can like them all day long. I just got a vibe, all right?
One of the magic trick scenarios that he had a sexual interest in, and both of us being 16 to 17 at the time, we didn't really know why he was asking this, but we let him do it, and he sent us both the image of...
It was the Dakota chair trick, okay.
Us in a depiction of the magic trick.
Which was his fetish and kink. So that is sexualized artwork of two OCs involving who he knew to be minors at the time in those chairs.
It was the one where he had both of us sitting in separately across from each other, and we had a dog in our lap. It was one of those, I think it was one of those vanishing tricks or something, or Dakota chair one. I remember that's what he said when I looked back on the logs. But I remember seeing and being asked if I could be drawn in that depiction.
Did I see Diesel Patches made a video of me that kind of based in Red Pill? Just kidding. I know it's about Noah Samson. I do not look like Noah Samson, okay? You need to take that back, Ludwig Horsecock. You need to take that back. You need to take that back. I don't look like that fucking profiteering retard that is pretending that he cares about the Palestinian movement when he just makes shit up.
So drew me and...
Okay, take it back.
In the Snow White dresses. That was another thing that he was very, very insistent on. He was very insistent on comments as well, and tried to preen on our thoughts on the images he drew. He was very insistent, and if you didn't respond, he would get very upset and guilt trip.
That's literally, oh my god. Literally, hold on, I need to find this one, because hold on, I gotta find this. It's actually gonna aggravate me now, and I need Autumn to see this, because I know she's seen this in Cloud Palace, because I posted it in there when I found it. This is what I assume is the kind of message that she or they would get in the event that that they didn't respond to Horace's like artwork. Hold on, I need to find this, because it's gonna aggravate the shit out of me if I don't pull this up right now. I shouldn't have moved past these DMs between me and Beckett. Found it. Autumn. I assume he would send messages like this. You know what hurts? Seeing myself post artwork and having said artwork drowned out by a shit post. Oh, I'm gonna kill myself. Like, I assume those were the kind of messages that you were getting. Something like this, right? I keep holding in this negativity to myself because I blow up on everybody. Like one of these things, right, Autumn? That's how I assume what kind of messages he was sending, no? Because this was just publicly in the Cloud Palace. I can only imagine what it is in DMs.
trippy. Overall, he was just very guilt trippy if you didn't respond to
But take this, but in threads,
him
crazy.
at all, in any shape or form. But these were like, he was very upset if you didn't respond right away. Or he would kind of beat himself up if you didn't respond in a way he liked. This was also just outside of the fetish stuff that he's.
Do you want me to read this? This is like my favorite DM of George's. This is like my favorite message from the Cloud Palace involving George. Do you want me to read it? It's so long, but like it's so worth it for you to understand probably what Autumn was going through constantly on Twitter. Let's read. Please spare you. All right, one's in the chat if you want me to read it. One's in the chat, and I will read the most pathetic message you are ever going to hear in your entire life. I'm seeing a lot of ones. Okay, I'm seeing a lot of ones. All right. So this is what I assume the kind of messages that George was sending Autumn, what they are referencing in the interview with Yen. You want to know what hurts? Seeing myself post artwork and having said artwork drowned out by a shit post. Could this be the sign of me to stop posting art publicly in general? If I get drowned out this easily, then what's the point anymore? Most of the drawings I've made lately have been personal drawings that I keep to my not safe for work account. Anything else is either not finished or just quick sketch posted, simply so that my art, does not get forgotten from everyone's minds. I keep holding this negativity to myself because I might blow up on everybody. That is an incel shooter line. All because I get accidentally left out and inadvertently treated like a smaller guy in the server rather than one of the bigger people. Oh, so he has an ego problem. Guy threatened to strangle his chauffeur before. He has a chauffeur? What? Huh? Is this guy rich? Is his mommy and daddy rich? Why would he have a chauffeur? So he threatened to strangle his help. That's crazy. Let's see here. There's a reason why I keep saying that I'm like the next door neighbor. I'm hardly close with anybody. I'm treated like nobody without realizing it. I feel like I have to keep things to myself and no one would have an issue with me. I fear I could become an attention whore, so I suck it up to myself and just say that people are far better than me, and I fear that I sound entitled. So I keep it to myself and that people don't go against me. I fear the day that I get ditched for my own mistakes. And I'm glad that your fear became real. Then there could be those who would immediately tell me that I'm just overreacting to make me feel even worse. Mainly because it makes me want to be quiet, so I wouldn't upset them anymore, to the point where I'd hate myself even more. You guys stated this? I had no idea that this kid was rich. Guy, whatever, he's an adult. There's no winning for me, only suffering and anxiety. And it's all my fault as to why it happens. More often than not, I think to myself that I was an idiot for not doing it this way or messing up on something, whether it be big or small. So that should give you an idea of the kind of messages that Autumn would get from George.
Sent us. He also would send, again, the videos that he was talking about.
It's literally cartoonish levels of pathetic. It is the best message I have ever read in the Cloud Palace. I still will read it from time to time to laugh, to make myself feel good.
And then also,
just reveling in this guy's complete mental decline.
He sent me in particular characters that he knew I liked in the Snow White dress to try and get me to like the idea of the thing more. He didn't send me any more of the magic trick stuff again, but he was very explicit on the Snow White stuff. He even would send me stuff in recent years with characters that I liked in the Snow White dress that was in 2024. But afterwards, I haven't gotten anything since George sent the.
Oh, I was totally wrong. Keem came back to Lolcow. I was totally fucking wrong. I thought he was going to last at least one more day.
Snow White dress pictures to me that I believe then afterwards, that was when Amity and I pushed back and we didn't really like talking to him. We had some spats at some point. I don't remember what we were arguing about, but considering how he got upset at me and Amity over us wanting to draw a picture of his character dabbing and getting so mad he would rage quit the call, I imagine it was probably over something ridiculously.
Wait, he rage quit a call due to dabbing?
Upset at me and Amity over us wanting to draw a picture of his character dabbing and getting so mad he would rage quit the call.
He crashed out over the idea of somebody drawing his character dabbing. This is the most pathetic fucking creature in human history. Let's just one more. Just I know I've shown these before, but just one more. I wasted all your times. I should have kept my mouth shut. I annoyed all of you. I'm an attention whore. I'm fucking pathetic.
I imagine it was probably over something ridiculously stupid like that. I would not put that past him. And so later on, he would go on to...
Yeah, I've literally in my entire life, 29 years on this earth, never heard the words. He got mad at saying I wanted to draw him dabbing. I've never heard that.
Try to do the same thing to Leo in 2019. Apparently was stopped in 2017 by Amity. I don't have a recollection of that personally. That's something I cannot vouch for 100%, but I can believe it. But I do remember the stuff with Leo in 2019, and we, all three of us, had collectively agreed to make a document, or at least had Leo make a document about it, because we thought that the only evidence we had was only on Twitter. And at that point, I believe I had deactivated that Twitter account, or Amity had deactivated that Twitter account, her own Twitter account. I'm not sure what happened there, but I think we just stuck with Leo at the time, because we were both adults by the time we were going to call George out. So we stuck with Leo, and he had Vivian post his document in his stead, and I don't remember Susie, like DoodleTones, posting a stream about it. I don't really remember that. I definitely do remember her defending George.
Yeah, kind of crazy. I hope Autumn was here when we pulled up the specific clips where DoodleTones was completely and utterly justifying the idea that the document was malicious, made by Leo. I hope that they saw that, where we got the call.
Right off the bat, even beforehand, I don't recall why I remember her being against that, but I just remember her not agreeing with the allegations that George was a groomer.
It was a little bit more than not agreeing. What it was them straight up not believing it to any circumstance and wanted to bury it.
Me in 2020.
I did not, but I hope you saw my comment on the VOD. Which VOD?
I called out Vivian for also being a groomer, because I also made tweets against Horace at the time, or George at the time, against him, and also like having my testimony saying that I was treated the same way when I was 16. And then Q to 2020, okay. I've completely distanced myself from the commentary community, and I just I hadn't really bothered interacting with any.
Let's see here. Holy shit, David coming in clutch and Oob dead coming defensive Leo. I never thought I'd see any part of this live stream. Oh my god. Yeah, it's kind of an interesting situation.
Buddy from that community.
But also they were being massive pussies, Autumn. They were like, oh, I don't agree with you, but I'm not going to fight you on it. It's like such a pussy move.
Since I find out about Susie's video in 2021, shortly after she posted it alongside George's document, and I was pretty mad about that. I didn't like that video at all. I didn't comment on it because I saw the backlash that Amity got, and I saw the backlash that Rin got when he sent his comment to me, and I saw people were just dogging on both of them, and I felt like I was just not going to bother commenting because I was just going to get the same response regardless. I already had another person commenting or like replying to a comment I made on a video that I didn't even know that they were even looking for me at all, and so they saw me and then they just dogged on me afterwards. It was on a completely different video, in a completely different situation, but basically the tides had completely turned by the time that video had released, and we were all painted as liars, and we falsely accused George of being a group.
I still have a hard time believing this whiny bitch is rich. True. I also kind of cannot believe the idea that mommy and daddy for this tard are rich. You know what? Nobody knows what I'm about to reference here, but it's basically almost one for one. Does anyone know who Ali Alexander is? It's literally rich family pedophile son.
Rumor. And at the time, I didn't realize how much that backlash just internalized to me, and Q go up to like 2022. By this point, I already was aware another document had been made on Ray Kohai. It was a giant document, and I wanted to address a couple things from that document that mentioned me by name. And one of them was from George. George mentioned my name on there for the stuff about like a convention that we both went to and attended at the time, and also I just wanted to...
There's no way you're referencing the Habsburg jaw pedo guy? Who knows, maybe, you know, like...
clarify a bit further on my story regarding George, and that was when I first denounced.
Ali Alexander did one funny thing in his entire fucking life, was making that video about Ethan Ralph being like Champa from Dragon Ball Z. Kino.
George being
Kino video from a pedophile.
being called a groomer, because I definitely did start doubting
Who, the what, the now? Don't worry about it. You all don't need to know anything about the sector, okay, chat? You don't need to know anything about the sector. Don't go looking for the sector. Don't look up anything on the sector.
If I even was right about George being a groomer to begin with. So I denounced that, and I apologized. Cue to another year later, around October, I rejoined the commentary community at this point after reconnecting with everybody, including George, and I went out of my way to DM George. It was one of the first messages I sent to his new account, and I apologized. Just directly apologized to him.
Which is just disgusting. That DoodleTones purposely left out this information, created a whole different narrative for this when it wasn't warranted because there was enough evidence against George to make these people feel like they had to apologize to him. That is disgusting to me. I can't get over the fact that DoodleTones had the balls to do this.
Completely denounced calling him.
Is DoodleTones a lolcow? DoodleTones has been a lolcow for a fucking decade, and all these dumb motherfuckers in the ACC thought they were like a reputable creator.
Groomer. And I said, if there's anything I can do to make up for what I did, I would be happy to do that. And to me, part of that making up to him was defending him whenever those allegations came up, and was going to risk him being canceled again, basically. There was a call
Yeah, the sector got real boring after like Gamergate.
In February or January, February.
Did I see that Papa Gud dropped a 1-hour video about me? Papa Gud doesn't like me. I made some very mean comments about him years ago on a Xylee stream. And like, it was so brief. It was like 3 minutes of me just saying, yeah, he's kind of turned really fucking gay after the Def Noodles drama, and he keeps fucking up, and it's like, I'm so sick of him. And like, it was just like an offset, like annoyance that I had. And he did like, I think he did like 10 minutes like crashing out about it and saying, oh, you're just looking for the negative things to find about me. And I was like, no, like it's just an observation that you're being gay and soy.
Of 2024.
Like, I remember that. It was so random. I was like, huh?
It was in the Senate when that was still up and running, and we were going to call Michael Schomer.
Kino Casino covered the Ali Alexander Champa video. It's in their playlist.
Was somebody who also did not treat me well as a child, and trauma dumped to me as well as many of my friends at the time. And I remembered there were some allegations that Schomer still believed in regarding George, and part of my reason of why I wanted to join that call was to highlight my experience with Schomer, but also to denounce George as a groomer. That was something that I absolutely wanted to get out of the way first, and make sure that Schomer did not say a word about George that I thought was false. I was told to believe was false. That's one of the biggest public instances of me defending George. I also had consoled him a lot whenever he started getting upset over how Vivian and Rachel treated him, when they called him a group.
Jesus Christ, Autumn. It's just so sad. Like what you had to go through to like deal with this person, that you had to be like their emotional support when they're a grown adult and they shouldn't be going to like people on the internet for this shit. And that's like you basically got the shit end of the stick. Jesus.
Rumor. I've consoled him multiple times. I've told him to his
Is BreadTube dead now? Yes.
face that he's not a
Yes, it's dead. Now it's just Lefty Tube.
rumor multiple times. And there was another call in December of 2024, twice actually, 2 calls. One was when another person was brought up old messages from George that was kind of trauma dumpy towards a minor, and we brushed that off initially because
I don't know how it could be kind of trauma dumpy, if I'm honest with you. It's either trauma dump or it's not trauma dump. If somebody's like talking about their mental health to you and like how they feel and like, oh, I feel terrible, or oh, I have these emotional issues, and telling this person about it, that's trauma dumping, dude. Like, you don't know this person. You just know them on the fucking internet.
it didn't seem substantiated enough, and also we were concerned, I was concerned at least, that the allegations were going to be brought up.
Yeah, Xander Hall killed BreadTube
Again, when they, in my mind, had already been proven false and I had denounced ever ever wanted to call him that. I denounced calling him a groomer. And there was another call where we confronted the same person who came forward with those allegations, and we, or at least me and Susie specifically, defended Horace in that call. I know I was definitely not as actively speaking as Susie, but I definitely was defending George at that point. And so everything's kind of quiet on that end regarding George for a while, up until, of course, April of 2025, where Julie slightly mentions a conversation between herself and Avi Haltman, and Avi
Longer the video, get my level of Google Doc 3+ hour exposed video. Lamau, shut up.
sourced
You read a 300-page document written by fucking Parlo.
the allegations.
Like, yes, there's information in there that I'm very interested in, but I also don't trust Parlo.
Against George, and said that, oh, I'm not.
But I'm not downplaying the situations with Pyro just because Parlo put it out. I am skeptical of Parlo. I do believe that Pyro definitely has some shit he's got to address, though.
A pedophile because George is not a pedophile for doing the same thing I'm doing. And that prompted Julie.
I'm sorry, Doodles was still doing
sourced the allegations against George and said that, oh, I'm not a pedophile because George is not a pedophile for doing the same thing I'm doing. And that prompted Julie to come back into the community for a second and ask about the allegations against George and to see how bad, if it was actually a case of George being done dirty. And everything just kind of transpired from there.
So, George Raccoon. I met him when I was 15 years old. 15. And he would have been 19, because there is a 4-year age gap between him and I. I met him in
I'm not going to say anything about it.
2015.
I'm not going to say anything about this avatar, okay?
Mid-2015. And things would be normal for a while, like, at most. Like, he was a little self-destructive at times.
Wow, that's kind of an understatement, but okay.
A little self-destructive, a little bit.
I get you're trying to, like, lead up to it, but, like, that is an understatement and a half.
But then comes 2016, so I know Autumn's in the chat. Hello, Autumn. For anyone out of the loop on that, Autumn and I used to date, and we had already had one person in our fucking ears who was a grown-ass adult talking about how we should move in with her.
Huh?
But then we have George. So George, he would like to do this thing where he would draw people in, like, a Snow White dress, which, like, whatever, fine, that's cool. It's a 5-year. He was born in 95. It's a 5-year difference? That's worse! That's worse! Autumn, fuck!
He's born in 95? Dude, he's a year older than me. What the fuck? Dude, like, right now he's a year older. I could not imagine being this fucking raped online and being this close, like, just being that age. I can't imagine that.
So he was, okay, so I guess there's a 5-year age gap. He would draw people in Snow White dresses because that was like his thing. I guess that was like a source of comfort for him, which, like, fine, whatever, that's fine. He was drawing children in the same dresses and calling them so adorable and pretty princesses. And that would be, 2 of those people would be Autumn and I, when we were 16.
Oh, yeah, we talked about that.
And he was, I guess, 21. But that's not like the bad part. It's still weird calling a bunch of children pretty princesses and adorable. Because, like, okay, because Ty's pointing it out, let me get this out of the way. The age gap is not inherently not the issue. It is the fact that he was doing this with minors. Ty and I are 4 years apart, and we are in a perfectly happy, healthy relationship. So that wasn't the inherent issue. The issue comes in when we talk about a certain kink that George had. And this kink was magic tricks. And we get, as you can see, this is a...
Okay, we already went over all of this. I want to see what they have to say about it.
Him to make a document, but it was meant to be private, but that other person then went on to convince Lee.
Yen! I'm glad you're here, Yen. Okay? Stop putting fucking trigger warnings into shit. Stop it.
To make it public. So that happened. We made it public. George ran off the internet for a while. Except for...
Dude! Holy shit! George is just Randy Pitchford. Holy shit, it just hit me like a ton of bricks now that it was pointed out to me, Ludwig. Holy fuck! Is George Randy? How old's Randy Pitchford? Now I need to look this up. Damn, he's 54. So it can't be the same.
One person. He stayed in contact with one person, and that would be none other than infamous commentator / internet personality Susie DoodleTones.
I love that we just call them infamous. Like, can we just say the words? Degenerate, liar, sweeper. Can we just say all those things?
Working with George behind the scenes, going off about how he was basically saying that George was spoctored, then later released a video basically saying that George had not
Yes, Yen.
groomed Leo, that I was someone spearheading a hate campaign towards George, and then, like, behind the scenes, like, again, I already mentioned this, there were people blaming me, saying that
Is George Randy Pitchford's child? Yeah, no, I went over the clip in regard to that stream. I pulled it up on
this idea that George groomed Leo into his head, which fucking... what? And the reason that this was being spewed was not out of a genuine, like, cause of interest / worry in Leo. It was because of who I was associated with at the time. I was
Yeah, imagine the Kings just running the family.
associated with my fucking...
Randy's really into, like, ping pong magic tricks with women's vaginas, and George is just really into the disappearing act in the chair.
assaulter and my abuser, and that warrant.
I love telling people that Randy Pitchford's into piss play. It's my favorite thing to tell people, because they're like, what? The guy that runs Gearbox in Borderlands?
Blaming me for George, a pedophile, being outed from the community. So, good job, guys. Good fucking job. Good job. Good fucking job. My God.
Yeah, I love telling people the Randy Pitchford lore. It's my favorite.
Y'all are... pat yourselves on the back, give yourselves a fucking cookie, and go fuck yourself. I'm sure, and the same goes for Susie. Stay the fuck gone.
True! Susie should just fucking jump.
Have fun knowing you put children in danger. Don't ever claim that you care so much about the safety of children on the internet when this is the bullshit you do.
Now, I will be linking Saf's original video in the description if you wish to see the whole thing. However, in a final-ish caveat, under DoodleTones' own words in their communication video, they shouldn't have even had any right to make this video, and I'll be showing that to you right now. In DoodleTones' 2024 communication video, she makes a point to say how she compared herself to someone who doubted a victim.
I'm so sorry. What is this video? A communication video.
Of someone called RCV5, even referencing the George Raccoon situation.
That Habit's initial screenshots aren't the best pieces of evidence to confirm this, and even they themselves make note of that fact early on in the document. But kind of like with any grooming allegation, I do at least want to give some benefit of doubt in favor of the victim.
Oh! Doodles, that did not age well.
And at least to my knowledge, RCV hasn't revealed any information that would otherwise counteract the allegations against them, so I am more willing to believe Habit in this regard, at least until further notice. Now, what I just did there was playing an actually neutral party. You'd look at the evidence given when the victim wishes to tell their story. You'd hear the victim first and parse through the information that they give. It's basic courtesy, and it's not disrespectful to the person who felt victimized in their situation. However, Morgan didn't do that. Morgan instead immediately turned to the alleged groomer to hear their side of the story first.
Oh, Doodles, no! You got caught this easily in a hypocrisy? Are you kidding, Doodles?
Because that's certainly a play that normal people do when they want information about someone's past actions.
Oh, no!
Alrighty, we have a particularly egregious situation on our hands.
Wait, Yen, when did this communication video come out? I'm just curious. When did this communication video come out? Was it after or before the George video? If it's after, it's so much more. 2024? The balls! The balls that DoodleTones had, dude. The balls!
And similarly to my initial knee-jerk response to the George Raccoon allegations in 2019. We did
Oh my god.
later confirm that Morgan
Oh my god.
didn't actually read any of Habit's document or screenshots at the beginning of December, so I don't think I'm merely saying this on the basis of not liking Morgan's actions or to make a point about how poorly Morgan handled the situation.
She makes this
Yeah, this is crazy that they do the FCK stuff and the George stuff.
point to illustrate her reaction to the George allegations in 2019, and yet she would go on to make the same mistakes that she shows here.
At least if she published it to Twitter, she could have given herself the benefit of Twitter possibly burying the tweet. But this basically forced the contrarianism into a much more confined space and had everyone's attention who was online to see it at the time. Especially the very person she's casting doubt upon. Remember that Morgan definitely didn't go to Habit with these doubts directly, so it's not like Morgan wanted the victim of the behaviors to hear her thoughts. She wasn't ready to tell the victim what she truly thought of the evidence against their abuser, which, like, no, you don't have to do. Obviously, I'm not saying to go around and interrogate every victim willy-nilly, but obviously Morgan wants us to be on her side. That's why she was afraid of posting onto Twitter. Plus, I think it's to be said how much Morgan was making Habit's abuse all about Morgan. It's
That's actually kind of crazy that DoodleTones went straight to George, didn't talk to Saf or any of these other people. Like they just straight up ignored all these people, but they're trying to criticize another individual for not doing the thing that they didn't do. That is very interesting, Doodles.
Morgan that's afraid to talk about the abuse. It's Morgan who is worried we'll dogpile her. It's Morgan whose opinion should matter the most as an impartial third party, or so she says.
It's not like Susie was ready to tell the victim what she truly thought of the evidence against her abuser. Doodle wants us to be on her side. She was afraid to say anything publicly after 2019. It's Doodle who's afraid of getting dogpiled for defending George. It's Doodle's opinion that should matter as an impartial third party, or so she claims she is trying to be in the George video. But Doodle simply does not apply her
Go on, Core.
own standards to herself here. Sure, you could claim she had a change in mindset since 2024 and 2021. However,
I missed you too, buddy.
given how she viewed her own
Everyone else has been an idiot while you're gone, dude. I'm so annoyed at everybody, bro.
behavior about the George situation in 2019 as the bad way of handling it, by her specifying it there and does not denounce her way of handling it in 2021, it would be fair to assume that in 2024 she stands by what she said in the 2021 video. Now there are two other people I would like to mention in this video, and that is both Donnie and Porky. Donnie was also a victim of Horace and was one of the people who gave pushback on Susie's defending Horace originally until being suppressed. As Susie had clearly made her bias known in the Cloud Palace,
Oh, you have no idea, Core. I'll tell you about it later.
and pushed her ideology onto people like Donnie for a long period of time. I will play my interview with them now. However, as a preface for this interview, given how Donnie and Porky didn't know that Horace was being a negative influence on them, the evidence of their interactions are hard to find, so this portion is mainly verbal testimony. But given how messages line up in the Cloud Palace, I'm more inclined to believe them.
Wait, I'm curious. I thought that George was a groomer, and I was, even the one who came up with the awful nickname for him. Yeah, but you know me, Jace, and you met me post-breakdown. Well, after post-breakdown, actually. To be fair, I think almost everyone was fooled by the whole George thing. Yeah, but I was one of the leading forces against him. Interesting.
I will also note that my OBS recording messed up during this call, leading to myself being quite inaudible, meaning I had to, with both of their permission, cut together audio to have the audio make sense. Yes, I'm a bimbo, I know.
No, you're just dumb, Yun.
A little bit of a
It's okay. It's okay, though.
disclaimer, I can't gather proof for like a good chunk of
You've carried enough W's that I won't make it a problem.
what I'm going to talk about, because it would have happened either on Skype, which is long gone, my first Discord account that's deleted, and any Twitter account that is deleted. There are people who can vouch at least that like I did meet George when I was a minor. I was 16. It was late 2015 when I met him, and we were friends. There were some, inside jokes we had pretty fast, like most of which were harmless. There were some NSFW ones as far as I remember, and it's some of the same ones that he was pushed onto Autumn and Seth. He did privately talk to me about the Snow White dress, and he would draw it until...
Okay, I gotta derail this like real quick. I need to go yell at Sly. I need to yell at Sly real quick. All right, I need to yell at Sly. Real quick. I'm sorry. I'm so sick. I'm so sick of this shit.
A lot of characters, and he claimed that it wasn't a fetish. From what I remember, he did like talk to me in detail about the Snow White dress, and I did follow his...
Sorry, Chad. I had to yell at King real quick.
NSFW account when I was 17, because he made the account in 2016, and I definitely followed that and I remember it, so I would have been 16, 17. I don't remember him directly sending me the magic trick thing, but I would have been aware of it through seeing that account. They talked about it on there as far as I remember, but the account wasn't archived. I do also remember him like constantly wanting my attention, like even like up until recent events. When I first came out as trans, I was 17, and he told me that for a while he had feelings for me, and he...
Whoa! Wait a fucking minute here.
Even like up until recent events. When I first came out as trans, I was 17, and he told me that for a while he had feelings for me, and...
Dude! Doodles!
He would have asked me out if I didn't transition.
Now keep in mind...
Yeah, you know what? You're a minor. I would ask. George was like, damn. George sits there and thinks, I want to be with this person. They're 17, but you turned into a trans, so I can't date you now. Like, that's the cutoff for George. Transitioning, cutoff.
That at this time, George would have been 4 years older than Donnie.
And he would have been talking about things he was into and such to me when I was a minor. I didn't really understand.
Happened to be me and Leon? I don't know. I'm so cool with Leon. I like Leon. He's good people. keeps me on my toes. We covering the JTech again? Already did it in the beginning of the stream.
And it being a problem back then, not help that I had been groomed by multiple other
Okay, dude. Okay, dude.
adults, and those situations, the two in mine in particular, were so bad that I didn't process like any other factors, I guess, or any other people that would have contributed. I do remember in a private call I had with him at some point, I think last year, he approached me about when he had a crush on me when I was a minor. He was
Oh, this just gets worse. This just gets worse. Whoa. Okay, dude. Okay. Wow.
just like distressing about it, and he kind of made me justify it on the spot and didn't want me to talk about it to anyone else.
This is new to me.
Yeah, I didn't talk about it with anyone else. And
Doodles is fucked. Like they were already fucked for life, but like this brings it to another level of fucked.
Oh, sorry.
I've been dating Dylan since early 2020. So in 2019, October 2019, was when the document Leo had made about his experiences with George was being made. If I remember correctly, I wasn't the first person informed of it, but like...
Adults having crushes on minors are scarily common in the SCC, dude. Yeah, I feel like that is an insane fucking thing that even gets brought up as an idea that was just a normalized practice. That's like a disgusting thing to me. Georgia Sonny got really pissed off if someone drew them dabbing. Yes. I read that. Also, I'm just going to make a bomb.
I remember being angry.
I keep forgetting to do that.
When I found out about it, and I was one of the people that spread it back then. I was also dating Vivian at the time, who was not only one of my groomers, but someone who assaulted me later on. Just 2 months after that doc went public, actually, less than. Vivian is important to this because of Susie alleging that Vivian had spearheaded the situation. When what she did was post the document, but she didn't write it. She claimed that she led the situation, or that she created the allegations, or put it in Leo's head that the allegations were real. She went by Charlie back then, and up until her death went by Vivian. The trauma with Vivian's kind of intertwined with George, because like the claim as well, because like George beforehand had made a document like about how Vivian was mistreating George, and Vivian did say some nasty things to George, I will admit, but I think part of that was partially how it was successful in convincing me to accept George back in my life. I think it had been early 2021. Am I correct, Dylan?
It was April of 2021, I'm pretty sure.
He said that he forgave me because I was hurt by Vivian. And he also...
What the fuck? He forgave them? Oh my god.
So showed the threat.
This is fucking disturbing on like so many levels, because now he has an in back with somebody he had a crush on when they were a kid, because he forgave them because another freak was trying to convince, like, was coming after him. That makes my skin crawl, dude. Are we talking about Vivian at a later date? Okay.
Where I came out about Obsidious fan grooming me, who was he was a countdown YouTuber, one of the smaller ones, and he groomed me on Skype from when I was like, it was especially prominent when I was 15 to 16, but we met when I was 14. Because I had stated that his behavior was similar to Obsidious fan in my eyes. So I had been isolated and kicked out by Rachel's group. She claimed that I was an abuser and that all I do is drag others down, and at one point had her nickname for me be Leech. And Dylan had also been isolated by Rachel several months beforehand, and...
It was funny, that was in April of 2020. 1 year before DoodleTones contacted both of us about George.
April 2021. I was already around Doodle, and I basically was like on and off around her, and then I was more full-fledged friends with her after Rachel kicked me out of her group. We were essentially reflecting on all the other people that Rachel had kicked out.
We minded our children of this community was led to this guy continually operating. Well, yeah, that's fucking what's the word I'm looking for? That's inherently DoodleTones' fault and the overall community's fault for allowing this shit to continue as long as it's been.
Or claimed was an abuser, and it turns out she was lying or manipulating. Dylan and I both fell victim to that, to Rachel doing that to us. With us losing a lot of people at once, we would have like wanted to...
My autism picking up the broom, the bomb brush.
About having more friends again. Doodle essentially, I feel like she was kind of using that, intentionally or not, to like take advantage, help use...
I would say it's intentional. That's just me though. I know I'm ascribing intentionality to this stuff, but I'm going to be real. Based on how DoodleTones operates, the way that they covered this stuff, the way that they brought it up, the way that they swept for it, I believe they were intentionally trying to manipulate this individual.
That to convince us to let him back in our lives. It was me first that she convinced, and then I talked to Dylan about it. Essentially, I was used as...
Yeah, I agree. The adults are just disgusting creatures.
...to get my partner to get in contact with George.
And that concludes the victim statements part of this video. So far, we've had Susie welcoming a predator back into the community and silencing those affected due to George being a close friend of Susie and him not wronging her personally. Now, this is where I would say the video ends. However, I would like to show a pattern of behavior from Susie that I have been alluding to. And Susie, in her George video, had pointed me to the perfect example where she compares what happened to George with V Omega, which is interesting to mention given the fact that we would learn that Susie had no problem with people being friends with someone like V Omega due to a friendship with George Raccoon, as seen in this message that was posted in the cloud.
I'm so sorry. What? Oh yeah, I would never say anyone cannot be friends with those I don't like or those I see as problematic. I mean, fuck, I still talk to George Raccoon on occasion. I'd be a hypocrite if I said you couldn't still be chill with V. Does Susie recognize what she just did here? She's essentially admitting that George, her whole like comparison of the two, which one was worse? Oh no. Dude, V raped somebody. Like actual rape. Why would you be cool with anyone that's still cool with them? Wow, Doodles. Your justification is terrible.
Palace server. Now, why am I bringing this up? Well, aside from Susie's own wording saying that V and George are the same in terms of being bad people, it directly ties to what had become known as the Cloak and Dagger situation, giving us another instance of Susie's hypocritical and vested self-interest and survivability. A topic that I'll be doing a complete timeline of to save people a lot of time and day, but for a brief overview of what that situation entails, on the 30th of the 7th, 2023, DoodleTones posted this message in the Cloud Palace, explaining how a member of the community called Vigil was friends with a predator V Omega, who had previously been outed from the community. In these messages, Susie shows her conversation with Vigil, where they end up on somewhat amicable terms, which is quite out of pocket for Susie, given the focus of their content being to ounce predators and the likes from their communities. A point to note in these messages is Vigil's confusion and why this is being brought up now of all times. A reasoning to this confusion could be explained by the aforementioned message Susie put in the Cloud Palace, saying that she would have no issue with people being friends with V Omega. Other people of relevance who are aware of Vigil's friendship with V Omega include users Keyblade, Tippy, Dolsmic, Mavstation, and Neko.
That's a little crazy because didn't Susie bring to attention to Lio and Heaton about the fact that they were friends with this person? That's interesting.
Shadows, who were the main focus.
And then Susie pretended they had no idea what was going on throughout that entire call. That's interesting. Thank you for the 5. DeviantArt and Tumblr were a mistake. The ACC wouldn't exist without them. True.
The Cloak and Dagger calls, a collection of calls titling, and I shit you not, 7 hours, where said people were lambasted for their knowledge of Vigil's friendship with V, and apparently hiding said information from those in the Cloud Palace, and
Doodles did the same, but flew under the radar because nobody expected Doodles to be like that. That's interesting.
DoodleTones itself. Now, Yan, you may be asking, why is this even an issue if we know DoodleTones had prior knowledge of Vigil's friendship with V even before it was posted about in the Cloud Palace? Well, that's where the current popular theory comes into play. Whereas Vigil's outing from the Cloud Palace may have only been kept to that circle, and that is an assumption, the knowledge of the V-Vigil friendship had not, and from his own recollection and mention of it in the calls of Cloak and Dagger, had made its way to Lio Convoy, which forced Doodle to change their plan of originally having a call with those names mentioned by herself.
Oh my god.
Changing into the first call, including Lio Convoy himself and Heaton Mitsuri. The reasoning behind this change is of course speculation, and using information pieced together from the
Heaton, baby, come back to me. Let me read your suicide note DMs again. Come on, Heaton!
Calls, but the running theory is this was all a massive gay op to stop Lio from looking into the Cloud Palace server.
Oh, it was totally a gay op. I agree with Yan on this. Definitely a gay op to try and get Lio to not pay attention to Doodles so that the Cloud Palace could continue to operate unencumbered by the pseudo-predator hunter that is Lio Convoy. That is what this is. I agree with this sentiment that it was definitely a fucking gay op to throw Lio off the trail.
Which is an entirely different can of worms I will not be getting into today. However, speaking of the Cloud Palace, let's see who else was aware of Vigil's friendship with V Omega and didn't have an issue with people being friends with V and was present for the Cloak and Dagger calls. Of course, we have DoodleTones herself already, and also her at-the-time partner Jace, as seen in this message between himself and Vigelcio in
Dude, imagine being in a relationship with DoodleTones. Imagine that's what you're known for. Imagine you wake up in the morning and you're like, fuck, I'm dating DoodleTones. I think I'd kill myself. Like, if I woke up in Jace's body and then DoodleTones DM'd me, like, something like in a relationship, I'm not going to read it, but, like, they type it out, I'd be like, I'm killing myself, like, today. Like, I'm not even going to think about it. Like, I'm just blowing my brains out right on the computer. I'll Ronnie McNutt myself on camera. I'll go on Discord, flick the camera on, put a loaded shotgun in my mouth, and just pull it with my toes. I'd let Doodles live with that for the rest of their life.
Cloud Palace. Keep in mind V Omega was ousted on June the 27th, 2020. The next person listed has less solid proof towards them knowing. However, it would be remiss for me not to bring it up here, and that is Heaton Mitsuri, reacting to messages in relation to a conversation about Vigil on his now deleted Discord account.
Heaton!
Being friends with V Omega, and of course Jace is already there, but we already have confirmation of their knowledge of the friendship. Again, I'm aware.
Was Heaton? Hold on. Wait a minute. What is this in reference to? Avi, listen, I really speak on such vitriol, but like, bitch messed up with me, and trust me, you fucking deserve it. Sure, making the statement like that, like, tame as shit. Would put it in perspective, why even? Me at Autumn. Didn't she block you because she found out you were still friends with V? Personally, I would have just swallowed something, something waste of sperm. That's interesting. Emoji to use, Heaton. And Jace too. That's a really Heaton. Were you still friends with V Omega at the time? That's interesting, Heaton.
Count being friends with the Omega, and of course Jace is already there, but we already have confirmation of their knowledge of the friendship. Again, I'm aware this isn't as concrete as a point.
It's not concrete, but I'm gonna be perfectly honest. Yeah, that calls into speculation now.
I'll leave you guys to come to your own opinions on how much good
You want my opinion? I think Heaton was cool with that.
faith should be given here, given Heaton's past actions that have come to light. But I will point out the conversation this is pulled from is about Autumn, a victim of George.
Oh, wait. What's the video that Heaton's yelling, you will take accountability? I don't know the video.
Where they are being called a waste of sperm. Yes, these creatures know no shame. Moving right along, Avi Holtman is the account name Crouching Idiot. So I said...
Oh, hooray, Avi!
Heaton also applies. There is also this message right above Susie's hypocrite message, as shown earlier in this video. With these factors in mind alone, I can say...
What did Avi say here? What did Avi say here? Look, again, I have my disdain towards V, but with that said, I ain't gonna trash anyone who's still friends with him even after this. This person's retarded. Same. I hate the bastard, but like, your feelings are your feelings. Oh my god, V.
Message right above Susie's hypocrite message, as shown earlier in this video. With these factors in mind alone, I can say confidently that Susie, though she kept around her in her close circle in the Cloud Palace, had absolutely no issue with letting predators they were on good terms with slip through the door without catching major flack. In my opinion, there are two options here. One, Susie saw herself in Vigil's shoes as seen in her hypocrisy message, realizing deep down that even though she was defending George, she knew he was this awful person, and if George was such a bad person, what would that make her? But she didn't have it in her to cut him off or not try to help him come back. Or two, Susie truly didn't have an issue with staying friends with predators or friends of predators, wanting to let Vigil...
She didn't have a problem. I'm just gonna say it. She didn't have a problem. Due to her actions and the way that I've been A-logging Doodles forever, they did not have a problem with that, and they pretended to be a predator hunter to hide that fact, and worked with Lio to kind of fly under the radar so that they didn't get caught. That's my opinion.
Off easy. Keep in mind, those attacked in the Cloak and Dagger calls only knew about Vigil's friendship with V. Susie was the one to let Vigil run off without any persecution, given how people in the ACC/SCC are all about public calls. But no, she still allowed Vigil to stay within the Cloud Palace server, letting him silently exit the community without a major confrontation, but after people Susie knew would have an issue with this caught wind, she went on full duck and blame mode, shifting the target to the main group attacked in the Cloak and Dagger calls, and keeping that lens away from herself and her close friends. Both of these situations paint a picture of how the SCC was run for the longest time, full of tribalism and backdoor dealing, where those at the top could use and shift narratives onto people smaller than them, or escalate small claims into dramatized hate campaigns. For DoodleTone herself, it truly shows how she put her and her friends first, even if said friends are awful, disgusting people, and how she used her platform and place as figurehead of the SEC to benefit herself first and foremost, and really puts into question her beliefs around grooming, and is more willing to...
It's not even... It doesn't even put it into question. It's like obvious now that DoodleTones doesn't really believe it's that big of a fucking deal, because they weaponized what they called grooming at the time, which wasn't fucking grooming. I'm just gonna say it. I don't believe DoodleTones' grooming story. The reason for that is because the timeline is completely out of fucking whack. It is not accurate at all. DoodleTones, to me, is somebody that will weaponize words like that to make people feel sympathetic and weaponize it to fight battles that aren't accurate. Like, they'll do that because they know it's a buzzword. DoodleTones, come home, please. Yeah, okay, Ace. Thank you for the 5.
Side with said groomers if she likes them. I would like everyone who was watching this to give people like Saf, Autumn, Poor Kate, Donnie, Leo, and Joni some love. As the way this...
Yeah, I hate what happened to all you. It's fucking terrible. And I'm glad this kind of like finally got cleared up after all these years.
Community has treated them is sickening. I would also like to thank all the people who helped me make this video. First being Hexcliff, the person who made this video's thumbnail, and also all
If Ace is involved in this video, I'm hanging this video up.
The people who have helped me in the SCC with research for this video. This will most likely not be my only video on people like DoodleTone.
Anything else? No, I got some stuff I gotta do.
Hey guys, thank you for watching the clip. Thank you Core for doing the editing. Make sure you give him a follow on Twitter, and make sure you like, comment, and subscribe if you are new. Check out the link in the description for the LOLcow trading card game. There's a brand new pack called Series X. That pack has my card in it, the tipster cards as well. On top of that, there's a bunch of other cast of characters in there, and we're also working towards an ultimate goal for that. So make sure you guys click on the link below. We're going to try and upload daily here and do live streams pretty often, so make sure you stick around and hit that like button. Thanks, guys.